This hour, the Jamaican economy has stalled.
It barely grew in the April to June quarter.
The Jamaican economy remained relatively flat, recording an estimated growth of 0.1% compared with the corresponding quarter, April to June 2023.
Prime Minister Holness describes as a travesty the pressure we place on our 11-plus children to perform in their exit exams.
It is a travesty in my mind that we place so much pressure on our young ones at an early age.
4 teachers of St. James High School terminated without probable cause and due process by Principal Joseph Williams.
Chief Justice Brian Sykes says artificial intelligence could help reduce inefficiency in the legal system.
In news from the rest of the world, the U.S. is considering the creation of a UN peacekeeping operation for Haiti to fight gangs.
14-year-old boy to be charged after 4 are killed in year school shooting in Georgia.
In headline sports, national captain Khadija Shaw among nominees for global football's biggest individual female award.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, Prime Minister Holness announced a by-election will be held in Northeast St. Ann on September 30. We'll hear from PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell and the JLP's presumptive candidate for the constituency, Matthew Samuda.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, should all the by-elections be held at once? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
And in the nation's business at 6:40, the Prime Minister says by-elections for 2 vacant constituencies will be held in the coming months.
We are at a stage where we are now ready to do all the by-elections, and all of them will be done. They will be done, and I would say within months.
We'll get reactions from political commentators Damian Gordon and Dr. Nadine Spence.
And at 8, it's Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings Weathers.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, jm.com, and on the Nationwide app available in Google Play and the App Store. This Wednesday afternoon, it's a wet Wednesday, September 4, 2024.
News at 5 teasers were brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. The Jamaican economy failed to register meaningful growth for the April to June quarter of this year. Gross domestic product GDP for the period was flat. The economy grew by a negligible 0.1%. That's according to the latest information provided by the Planning Institute of Jamaica, the PIOJ, at a quarterly media briefing today. The PIOJ is also estimating that the economy will contract in the next quarter due to the impact of Hurricane Beryl. Siobhan Campbell reports.
After 12 consecutive quarters of economic growth, the Jamaican economy has stalled. PIOJ Director General Dr. Wayne Henry says GDP for the April to June quarter barely improved by 0.1%.
Today, we are reporting that the Jamaican economy remained relatively flat, recording an estimated growth of 0.1% compared with the corresponding quarter, April to June 2023. The outturn for the review quarter largely reflected the normalization of performances of most industries following the return to pre-COVID-19 levels of output in 2023. Specifically, the performance mainly reflected the estimated downturns in the wholesale and resale trade, repair and installation of machinery, and the construction industries, as well as a slowing in the pace of growth in most other industries.
Both the goods producing and services industries recorded less than 1% growth. On the goods producing side, average growth was 0.7% for the period. This was mainly driven by a 6.2% increase in the mining and quarrying sector. It was followed by a 2.7% improvement in agriculture. The services industry grew by only 0.1%. For the first time in years, hotels and restaurants did not lead growth in this segment of the economy. That industry, which represents tourism, improved by only 0.1%.
Real value added for the hotels and restaurants industry grew by an estimated 0.1%, reflecting an increase in visitors based on preliminary arrival data. Preliminary data on foreign national arrivals for the review quarter stood at 699,733 visitors, an increase of 0.1% compared with the corresponding quarter of 2023. Preliminary visitor expenditure is estimated to have increased by 1.1% to approximately US $1 billion, compared with the corresponding quarter of 2023.
Electricity and water supply was the only sector to significantly improve with a growth rate of 2.7%. All other sectors in the services industry grew by between 1% and 0.1% or declined for the period. Meanwhile, the PIOJ is estimating a potential contraction in the Jamaican economy for the July to September quarter. It's anticipated this will be caused by the impact of Hurricane Beryl, which passed just south of the island on July 3.
A downturn in output levels is projected for some industries, including agriculture, forestry and fishing, mining and quarrying, electricity and water supply, as well as hotels and restaurants industry. The agriculture, forestry and fishing industry reported preliminary estimate of damages of $10 billion. The most significant fallout was experienced by farmers along the southern belt, namely the parishes of St. Elizabeth, Clarendon, Manchester and Westmoreland. Against this background, for July to September 2024, it is anticipated that the economy will contract within the range of negative 0.1% to negative 1%.
Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
A travesty. That's how Prime Minister Andrew Holness is describing the pressure put on primary school students to perform in their exit exams for a coveted place in high schools. The Prime Minister was responding to journalists at a post-cabinet media briefing at his office in St. Andrew on Wednesday. Mahiri Stewart reports.
When pressed on the issue of exit exams in primary and prep schools at Wednesday's post-cabinet media briefing, Prime Minister Holness was sharp and decisive in his response.
It is a travesty in my mind that we place so much pressure on our young ones at an early age, where some may naturally exhibit the ability to grasp information quickly and regurgitate it. That is not a measure of intelligence or creativity. And we distribute our best educational spaces in that way to the detriment of the rest of the society. And we have been doing this for ages.
The Prime Minister says the government's plan to fix the education system will tackle how children are taught from an early age. He says this will involve refocusing the curriculum to cover skills in literacy, numeracy, and technology.
So the strategy of the government must focus on improving all schools. And that must start with the basics in education. We are piling on too much on our kids at an early age. We need to ensure that they can read, that they can function well in a numerate way, that they can articulate, and that they can interface with technology. Once we get them those core learning skills, the world of knowledge is open to them. You're going to see an emphasis on streamlining what our children learn at an early age. You're going to see an emphasis on the development of the skills necessary to drive our education system.
Prime Minister Holness says the current placement method has created a divide in Jamaica due to the societal expectations of students to pass for schools considered top tier or popular. He says high schools island-wide should all operate at a level in which none is seen as worse than another.
The way in which, for decades, we have distributed the best educational places in the country has created a social divide in the society. Education is not only for the bright. And once we get over that and we recognize that every school must perform to the highest standard, so it doesn't really matter which name brand school you go to, you're going to get the best quality education. When we talk about transformation in education, that is the core of it.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
The Joseph Williams-led St. James High School is embroiled in another ugly dispute. This after 4 teachers were allegedly terminated from the institution without probable cause at due process. One of the teachers spoke with our news center on Wednesday. Shalois Michael has that story.
A few months after 2 students were expelled by Joseph Williams without due process, the embattled and controversial principal has again found himself in another case of dictatorial conduct in breach of the Education Code. This time, involving the unlawful termination of 4 teachers just before the start of the new school year. One of the teachers, Tiana Taylor, told our news center that she received a termination letter on June 27. It says her tenure at St. James High would come to an end on August 31. Nationwide News obtained a copy of the letter. It noted that she was being terminated on the grounds of unsatisfactory performance evaluation. The letter was signed only by Principal Williams. But according to Ms. Taylor, she has not received an appraisal since she started teaching at the institution in September of last year. In fact, she says her head of department filled out her first evaluation form several days after she received the termination letter.
I did not do any. I reached out to my head of department for her to provide the hard copy of my appraisal, which would support what the letter was saying. A week after, she came to school and she said that she wanted to speak with me. So I promptly asked her for the hard copy of my evaluation. What she did, she took a blank evaluation form and said that I should complete it. And I looked at her and I said, no. She sat there and she completed one on spot.
Ms. Taylor says she was told to return to work on Monday by chairman of the institution, Christopher McCurdy, but she was stopped at the gate by the security.
I reached out to the chairperson because in the letter, he did not sign it. And he said that the letter is not valid because it wasn't signed by him. As a result of that, I should go back to work. I followed protocols. I did as I was told. On a Monday, I went to work and I asked my HOD for my timetable. And she reminded me of the letter that I have received. And so I did not receive any timetable. I went back to work yesterday. I had to accompany one of my colleagues to her class. Unfortunately, I went to work this morning and the security stopped us at the gate to say that there's a standing order against me.
The matter has since been reported to the Ministry of Education and the Jamaica Teachers Association. Several calls to Mr. Williams have gone unanswered. Shalois Michael for Nationwide News.
President of the Michael University College, Dr. Asburn Pinnock, says more government scholarships should be offered in teachers' colleges for student teachers to study science, technology, engineering, and mathematics subjects. His proposal comes amid concerns about teacher training and matriculation in the critical subject areas. In 2023, 1,250 student teachers received full tuition STEM scholarships to attend Michael University.
The take-up last year was very good. We have not completed ours for this year, but it looks like it's less than last year because, again, of the math and science results, and therefore the matriculation. But I'm told that we're inching up to the required number that we desire. And so that is a good opportunity for us. I think that should be extended to all the colleges so that we can recruit more persons in these areas. We're looking at 250 students per year.
So you got the take-up of the 250 last year?
Last year we did, yes.
Dr. Pinnock says the majority of the student teachers entering colleges are alienated from studying STEM as they're not qualified to do so.
Only 15% of the cohort, and sometimes less, every year, are qualified to do, for example, the STEM subjects and the sciences. So when you put persons up for CXC and you rank them and you rate them to say who is likely to pass these subjects, only about 15% are qualified. So 85% are totally alienated from those case areas. Of that 15%, majority will go to other professions. If you get 5% coming into teachers' colleges, then 80% of those at graduation will be recruited because of the demand internationally. And so we are caught in a dilemma. And then the negative publicity that teaching is getting across Jamaica is also alienating persons from the profession.
Dr. Asburn Pinnock, president of Micah University College. He was speaking this morning on Nationwide. You're listening to Nationwide at 5. Stay with us.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is
16 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial is the expert in pest control, air purification, and hygiene services. Call today 876-926-4236.
The temperature by Rentokil is
27 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 29 out west in Montego Bay.
On Sunday, August 11th, in the quiet community of Cherry Tree Lane in Clarendon, our entire nation was shaken by a brutal act of violence.
Gangsters mercilessly took the lives of 8 innocent Jamaicans, including a 7-year-old boy.
These criminals will strike again, destroying more families and more communities, unless we stand together to stop them.
If you have any information that can help bring these killers to justice, please share it with the security forces.
The government has established a reward fund of $25 million for information leading to the arrest and charge of
the perpetrators who committed this heinous act,
the facilitators who supplied them with arms, intelligence, and transportation,
and those who harbor and protect these criminals after the crime.
If you know something, please say something. Call Crime Stop at 311, Mocha at 888-6622847, NIB at 811, or JDF at 837-8888.
Together,
we will defeat gangs
and develop a culture of peace in our country.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Ministry of National Security.
Continuing the news, President of the People's National Party opposition leader Mark Golding says his party will not be contesting the by-election called by Prime Minister Andrew Holness for the North East St. Anne constituency. The by-election is scheduled to take place on September 30, with nomination day set for September 11. The opposition leader also says the PNP will not contest any parliamentary by-elections before the next general elections. According to Mr. Golding, in a statement on Wednesday, the decision to call a by-election so close to an anticipated general election is a slap in the face to the electorate. Norgay Banton tells us more.
The opposition leader has branded the swift announcement of a by-election less than 24 hours after Marcia Smith's resignation as Member of Parliament as both striking and unprecedented. Smith's resignation was made public on Tuesday, with Prime Minister Holness promptly declaring the by-election on Wednesday. Mr. Golding points out that the Prime Minister's by-election call comes against the backdrop of the resignation of Matthew Samuda, a cabinet minister and senator. He is accusing the Prime Minister of orchestrating this political maneuver. The PNP president characterized the move as a direct affront to the electorate of Southern Trelawney, who have been without a parliamentary representative for a full year. Mr. Golding is also condemning the government's actions concerning Morant Bay, alleging that the Holness administration has trampled on the rights of voters by delaying the election of a councillor. This, he says, was facilitated by an amendment to the Representation of the People Act. The opposition leader says the government, in its 5th and final year, is now becoming exceedingly unpopular. Mr. Golding asserts that his party is gearing up for a general election to unseat the Holness administration. He declares that the PNP will not participate in by-elections at this late stage. Mr. Golding vows that the PNP will uphold democratic principles and resist any attempt to undermine the core values of Jamaica's democracy. Norgay Banton for Nationwide News.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The world in a minute.
The United States is considering the creation of a UN peacekeeping operation for Haiti to fight gangs. The disclosure was made by U.S. Assistant Secretary for Western Hemisphere Affairs, Brian Nichols, on Wednesday. He says President Joe Biden is considering the possibility of a traditional UN peacekeeping operation to secure funding and staffing for the Kenya-led mission now deployed to quell gang violence in the country. There's limited funding and equipment available for the current mission. The UN Security Council would ultimately have to vote on a peacekeeping mission, but experts say it's unlikely it would support one. Additionally, they theorize that many Haitians would be against such an operation given the introduction of cholera and sexual abuse that occurred when UN troops were last in Haiti following the 2010 earthquake.
A 14-year-old boy will be charged with murder after 4 people were killed and 9 injured in a shooting at a Georgia high school on Wednesday. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation said those killed were 2 pupils and 2 teachers at Apalachee High School in Windoboro County. The boy, named as Colt Gray, was arrested by 2 officers on the school campus and was in custody. Gray will be charged as an adult. Local Sheriff Jude Smith described the attack as pure evil. Officials said the suspect is a student at the school. However, no motive has been identified. They have not said what type of weapon was used or how many bullets were fired. Speaking at a campaign rally in New Hampshire, Vice President Kamala Harris called the shooting a senseless tragedy. Attorney General Merrick Garland said federal agents were aiding the investigation.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories in nationwide news at this hour. The Jamaican economy has stalled.
It barely grew in the April to June quarter.
Prime Minister Holness describes as a travesty the pressure placed on our 11-plus-year-olds to perform in their exit exams.
It is a travesty in my mind that we place so much pressure on our young ones at an early age.
4 teachers of St. James High School terminated without probable cause and due process by Principal Joseph Williams.
I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. News next. The headlines at 6.
On September 5, 2024 at 1 p.m., join at Nationwide Radio on the X platform, formerly Twitter, for an insightful X space on Coconut for a Circular Economy, building partnerships for maximum value. Hosted by Nationwide 90 FM's very own reporter, presenter, and journalist, Robianne Williams. We will explore how coconut can drive sustainable business practices and reveal how collaborations are transforming the coconut industry. Don't miss the opportunity to hear from and interact with representatives from the Coconut Industry Board. So join at Nationwide Radio on the X platform for the Coconut for a Circular Economy X Space, September 5 from 1 to 1:25 p.m. Only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
Taboo topics, bulletins after dark,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between. Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m. Boyatings After Dark. No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Boyatings After Dark.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Jamaica's national women's senior football team captain Khadija Shaw has been nominated for the 2024 Women's Ballon d'Or Award to the best female footballer in the world. Shaw was today named in a list of 30 women's football players from around the world who will battle for the big prize on October 28 at the Théâtre du Châtelet in the heart of Paris. This is a second straight year for Shaw as a Ballon d'Or nominee, and it comes following another stunning season for Manchester City in the Women's Super League, where she copped the two big individual awards, the PFA Player of the Season and the Player of the Year at the WFA Awards. Shaw took City to the brink of the title with 21 goals in 18 games before injury curtailed her season close to the end. City lost the title on goal difference in a close race with Chelsea. Meanwhile, for the first time in 21 years, the names of Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi will not be in contention for the biggest individual award in world football, the Ballon d'Or. Messi and Ronaldo have won 13 Ballon d'Or awards between them. They dominated the award since 2008 with only two other players, Luka Modric from Croatia in 2018 and Karim Benzema from France in 2022, coming between them during that long period of dominance. On Wednesday, a list of 30 players was released for the nominees for the 2024 award. Spain and Manchester City midfield star Rodri leads the list that includes another leading contender, Jude Bellingham, along with Kylian Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. of Real Madrid. Bukayo Saka, William Saliba, Erling Haaland and Phil Foden from the Premier League are also on the list that will be cut to a handful ahead of the big announcement in Paris. Another school has withdrawn from the Issa Water, the Costa Cup football competition. St. Catherine-based Ewerton High will not take part in this year's competition. Ewerton was scheduled to play in Zone J alongside Charlemont, Dintil Tech, Enid Bennett, McGrath and Tatius Golding. However, with the prior withdrawal of Enid Bennett, the group is now down to 4 teams. This marks the third team to withdraw from the Costa Cup since the season was launched last month, with Fair Prospect being the other. This now reduced the number of schools in the Costa Cup to 82, while the withdrawal of Spanish Town High cut the number of schools in the Manning Cup to 39. The new schoolboy football season gets going this weekend with the Manning Cup champions Mona facing Waterford High in the opening game of a Catherine Hall triple header on Saturday, and the Costa Cup winners Clarendon College facing Denby in the second game before Cornwall College and Herbert Morrison meet in a massive Mowbray derby in the feature game. Defending champions, the Guyana Amazon Warriors and the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots will meet in round 7 of the Caribbean Premier League CPL at Warner Park this evening at 6 Jamaica time. The Patriots will be seeking the third win in 4 starts, while the Warriors will be hoping for their second victory from as many games. World and Olympic pole vault champion and record holder Mundo Duplantis of Sweden beat the Olympic 400 meters hurdle silver medal winner Karsten Warholm of Norway in a 100 meters exhibition race on today's first day of the 2-day Zurich Diamond League meeting in Switzerland. The pole vault record holder won in 10.37 seconds. Warholm was second, 10.47.
Duplantis gets the best start as expected, but Warholm is right there with him. Duplantis is not giving this up though. Warholm trying to chase him down, but Duplantis continues to go away. Duplantis gets it with a look back, 10.37. That is quick. Whoa, that is fast. For a pole vaulter, you're kidding me. 10.37. Warholm may well have run a personal best as well.
So now that he has taken down perhaps the greatest 400 meters hurdle of all times, he's ready to take down the female version.
1v1 head race. I mean, this is something completely new and I think quite innovative. And I'm very just thankful for the organization here in World Class. And I think we really put on a great show. And I hope that everybody enjoyed it because it was very fun. And I can do something like this again. I heard that Sydney got kicked out of Brussels, so if she wants to race maybe a 400, we'll do an extra event in Brussels day before, day after or something. Maybe we fix that.
Sydney McLaughlin of Ronnie's talking about. She was scheduled to do the 2-4, but they said she wasn't eligible. He's talking about she's been kicked out of Zurich. Meanwhile, 14 Jamaicans are down for action at the Diamond League meeting in Zurich tomorrow. Rashawn Clark in the men's 400 meters hurdles, Russell Clayton, Shan Summon, Anjanette Knight, and Genevieve Russell in the women's equivalent, Tajay Gale, Wayne Pinnock, and Kerry McLeod on the men's long jump, Tia Clayton. In the women's 100 meters, where 6 of the 8 women who ran in the Paris Olympic finals are back for this race, while Rashid Broadbell and Hansa Parchment will run in the 110-meter hurdles. Daniel Williams will go in the women's equivalent. Rajendra Campbell will go in the shot put, and Lamar Distin in the women's high jump. That's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Can you imagine getting a marketable skill for free? Your government has made it possible for anyone wanting to learn a skill to get free training through the Heart NSTA Trust. Learn a new skill and expand your horizons.
The time by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:31.
Welcome to our Active Corner, brought to you by Active Home Center. Are you ready to upgrade your bathroom? It's time to choose the perfect toilet for your space. First, consider the size of your bathroom. Measure the space where the toilet will be installed so it fits comfortably. Also, decide if you'd want a standing toilet or one that floats from the wall to suit your style. Did you know toilets can conserve water too? Look for toilets with a green water sense label that uses less water when flushing. Also, consider soft close toilet seats that close slowly and quietly. Shop toilets in our showroom today. Tune in at this time for more from Active Home Center.
Taboo topics. Voyagings after dark.
Riveting discussions.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between. Voyagings After Dark with Kareem Voyagings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m. Voyagings After Dark. No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Voyagings After Dark.
On September 5, 2024 at 1 p.m., join at Nationwide Radio on the X platform, formerly Twitter, for an insightful X space on Coconut for Circular Economy, building partnerships for maximum value. Hosted by Nationwide 90 FM's very own reporter, presenter, and journalist, Robian Williams. We will explore how coconut can drive sustainable business practices and reveal how collaborations are transforming the coconut industry. Don't miss the opportunity to hear from and interact with representatives from the Coconut Industry Board. So join at Nationwide Radio on the X platform for the Coconut for Circular Economy X Space, September 5 from 1 to 1:25 p.m. Only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Public opinion. Stop this foolish about this GLP and PMP business. We are a Jamaican. Different people.
It's not a matter of a GLP or a PMP. I think it's more like where it is that you think you're comfortable, what support you can afford to make the country better.
Different views.
Most entertainers, they're not amenable to management, so the only thing that can ultimately structure them is the court and the prison.
Public opinion.
the voice of the people, at 6:25 p.m. weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Tune into Nationwide at 6:25 p.m. for Public Opinion, where the people's views matter.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
Cover Story is brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Good afternoon. It's 5:35 on this Wednesday afternoon. I'm Siobhan Campbell, and this is the Cover Story.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. How are you, Siobhan?
Doing quite good, Sanjay. What have you been up to?
I've just been here watching all that is happening.
Yeah, it has been quite an exciting. Has it even been 24 hours yet? But that's it's been a quite the exciting 24 hours in politics over the last 2 days. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced that a by-election will be held in Northeast St. Ann on September 30, with nomination day set to September 11. It was announced on Tuesday that the embattled MP for Northeast St. Ann, that's Marcia Smith, had resigned from the office with immediate effect.
Government Senator and Cabinet Minister Matthew Samuda, who has been doing the political work for the JLP in the constituency, is set to be the JLP's candidate come nomination day. The Prime Minister says Mr. Samuda has already resigned from the Senate and as Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. He says Marcia Smith will be assigned new duties.
In the meantime, the Prime Minister has not committed to a firm timeline for by-elections in 2 other constituencies.
Northeast St. Ann is not singled out. As I have said, we are at a stage where we are now ready to do all the by-elections, and all of them will be done. It is just that this one is going to be done first, but all the by-elections will be done.
Can you give us a time frame as to when that will happen?
As they come due, they will be done. And I would say within months.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness, he was speaking with the media at Wednesday's post-cabinet press briefing. By-elections are expected in South Trelawney and Northwest St. Andrew.
And on September 21 last year, Marisa Dalrymple Philibert resigned as MP for South Trelawney following a damning report published by the Integrity Commission. The report accused her of failing to disclose the purchase of a motor vehicle in her statutory declarations for the period 2015 to 2021. And in Northwest St. Andrew, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark is expected to vacate the seat at the end of October to take up a post at the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. Dwayne Smith is expected to be the JLP's standard bearer in that constituency.
Well, to discuss this further, we will be joined by the candidate or the presumptive candidate for Northeast St. Ann, that's Matthew Samuda. And after the break, I understand it, we'll also be joined by the PNP's General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell. So, good afternoon, Sir Samuda. How are you?
Good afternoon, Siobhan. Good afternoon, Sanjay. Good afternoon to your listeners.
Good afternoon.
So it seems the by-election is on and you are the presumptive candidate heading in. What is your reaction and are you prepared for that contest?
So, firstly, I just want to thank the former and outgoing Member of Parliament for her work and her sacrifice. I think it's important to acknowledge that in a constituency of 43,000 people, it wouldn't be particularly easy. Over the last, I would say, 18 months, the Jamaica Labour Party has done significant political work in Northeast St. Ann. And on the political side, we are 100% ready for any contest, as the Prime Minister would have announced. The by-election, we are prepared politically. On a personal level, I'm excited for a new journey ahead. The opportunity to work with the people of Northeast St. Ann to realize their dreams and carry my own leg of the relay in this Project Jamaica for Northeast St. Ann, and work with them to help them realize their dreams, help to improve infrastructure. It's an exciting time for me personally, and I'm looking forward to the challenges ahead.
Mr. Samuda,
you're taking a
sorry, go ahead, Sanjay.
No, you're taking a constituency that has been converted into a JLP stronghold by Shahini Robinson, but there has been much discontent among the supporters from your party over the previous holder of the seat, Marcia Smith. Do you think you're able to get them to come out and support you on September 30?
The Jamaica Labour Party won all 4 of its polling divisions in the local government election and won cumulatively by just under 2,000 votes, despite all the issues we'd faced previously. That was on the back of the political work that I mentioned. We have a strong, mature political organization in the space, meaning you have a good executive, you have good councillors, you have good team members, and I would hope that I'm viewed as a good candidate as well. We will do the work, and we've been engaging our citizens, and we've been providing service where service is to be provided. We have been working with the people. There is legacy support, but there's also new support because of the work that we have done.
Mr. Samuda, calling it a contest on my part might have been a bit presumptive because, as I understand it, at this moment in time, the People's National Party's president said they will not be contesting any by-election, so you would essentially be going in more or less unchallenged, barring an independent candidate, and the PNP has labelled this quite the political maneuver on the part of the Prime Minister, announcing a by-election just 24 hours after the MP has resigned, essentially catapulting you into the House of Representatives. How do you respond to that?
The opposition has to do what they have to do, and I, won't comment on their actions. Election dates are the prerogative of the Prime Minister. He has exercised his right to call a by-election. I don't know that we can say there is a contest or isn't a contest until closure of the nomination process. What the JLP is doing and what I am doing is ensuring that our machinery is honed. We are ready for any contest, for this one, for the general, for the local after that, for the next general. We will operate in a state of readiness, and we're preparing ourselves for a contest. Should one not occur,
but are you
no issues.
But aren't you disappointed that your main rival, the opposition People's National Party, they have decided not to contest the election?
To be determined, and we can talk about that on Wednesday afternoon if they have nominated.
Mm-hmm. But let me also ask you. But let me also ask you: have there been any discussions with you about the possibility of taking on the finance ministry?
So at this stage, you'd have noted that I have resigned from the cabinet and I'm solely focused on North East St. Ann. Now, just as election dates are the prerogative of the Prime Minister, so too are cabinet positions. So even if such a conversation had occurred, which it hasn't, I would not be at liberty to discuss that.
But let us say, for example, you are successful.
I don't operate in financial
but should the Prime Minister offer you to serve as a Minister of Finance if you are successful, would you accept the position?
The Prime Minister of Jamaica is the best leader with a visionary outlook for Jamaica. Anywhere the Prime Minister asks me to serve in any capacity, I am prepared so to do. No such offer has been extended, and today we're talking about the future, the hopes, the dreams of the people of North East St. Ann.
Further along that path, Mr. Samuda, once this election is done, this by-election is done, would you be returning to the cabinet, or are you going to be focusing on that seat in North East St. Ann?
The constituency has 43,000 registered electors and is one of the wider geographic spaces. If you look at all of the constituency maps, as I said, I'm prepared to serve in any way the Prime Minister asks me, but I'm also relishing the challenge of helping to build North East St. Ann. So if that's purely up to the Prime Minister, I'll serve if asked, but for now I'm focused purely on North East St. Ann.
I want to come back to that since you're focusing on North East St. Ann, because a statement made by the People's National Party, and also many on social media have been saying this. There are other seats that there is a vacancy, no by-election. You're a member of the Jamaica Labour Party. Isn't this just the JLP using the political process to advance its own internal party prospects?
I don't see it that way. Ultimately, political parties make decisions that lead to electoral victory. That's how our democracy is structured. It's a bit of a ridiculous assertion, quite frankly. The Prime Minister of Jamaica can call by-elections at a time of his choosing. He's exercised that prerogative. He's reorganizing his government. He has said so. You'd have seen several changes take place over recent months, even some administrative. This is no different. We're in the process of reorganization, and this is just one of those steps.
But Southern Trelawney has been without a representative for almost a year, though, Mr. Smuda.
And you'd appreciate that I am not the representative there, nor am I a member of the Secretariat. So I would be.
But you're a member of the Jamaica Labour Party.
But I'm not a member of the Secretariat, who would be the only people that could comment on such.
But let me ask you, though, Shahini Robinson was a unique MP, and many persons in the constituency would speak about her and the way she went about doing her duties. Won't you have a very hard and tough path to follow to do some of the things that Shahini Robinson would have done? And how, in your way, you will define your leadership should you become the MP for that constituency?
The late, great Shahini Robinson is the most empathetic, warm person I've ever met in politics. And that mark that would have been made by her is not going to be erased by me or the next MP or the MP after that. She left a mark on this constituency that is hard to understand, probably have to be studied by anthropologists almost, because it's so significant. It's not going to be easy walking in her shoes. It's not. No one is going to have an easy time in that regard. What you have to do is be genuine, be honest, and work as hard as you can to help people realize their dreams. Because ultimately, in many ways, you're the conduit for the connectivity between the government and the people. And you just have to do the work as best as possible. Be genuine. What you can't do, you say so. What you can do, you say so, and you follow through. That's what Shahini did. But she did it every day, all day, every day, and she was always there for her people. We will strive to come as close to her as is possible. But it will not be easy. Shahini is a legend, and a legend for good reason.
Matthew Smuda, he is the presumptive candidate for the Jamaica Labour Party in the North East St. Ann by-election. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you, Siobhan. Thank you, Sanjay, and thank you for your listeners.
We're up on the break.
Thank you, all the best.
We're up on the break. After that, we will have the General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell, for the PNP.
Clearing personal, non-commercial shipments at the port? Avoid the wait. Request a contactless clearance through your agent today. It's more efficient. It's secure. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
5:47.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Welcome back to the Cover Story listeners and viewers. We're on the matter of by-elections, the politics heating up, and President of the People's National Party, Opposition Leader Mark Golding, says his party will not be contesting the by-election called by Prime Minister Andrew Holness for the Northeast St. Ann constituency. The Opposition Leader also says the PNP will not contest any parliamentary by-elections before the next general elections. According to Mr. Golding in a statement today, the decision to call a by-election so close to an anticipated general election is a slap in the face to the electorate. Well, to discuss this further, we are joined by the PNP's General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell. Good afternoon, Dr. Campbell.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Good afternoon, Dr. Campbell.
So right out of the gate, Dr. Campbell, is this wise politically for the PNP essentially to say we're not contesting any by-elections called between now and the possibility of general elections coming next year?
Our focus is on getting ready for the general election. I think what is unwise is for government to force, or let me not say force, what is unwise is for government to cause a minister of government and a senator to resign to go and take up a seat. That person is already in the cabinet. They're already in the parliament. That person is resigned to go and take up a seat. And the member of parliament that has resigned, the prime minister is saying that he's going to appoint her somewhere else. Obviously, they have made some arrangement that he's rewarding her. And then for the very next day to call that by-election whilst leaving a seat that has been unrepresented for more than a year, still not having a date for their election. That clearly is political maneuvering and using the resources of the state for the benefit of the party. That is not a process that we want to be party to. and complicit in. What we are doing is to get ready for the general election. If the Prime Minister thinks that we are afraid to contest, then he should call the general election and we'll meet him at the polls.
But wouldn't contesting the election, Dr. Campbell, be a good test for your party's machinery leading up to the general election?
No, we don't need that test of our machinery. We already checked our machinery in February. We are quite sure where our machinery is. We know what we need to tweak. We know what we need to get done. So we have a particular process to get our party ready that does not require us spending $25 million of taxpayers' money when people can hardly buy a pound of tomato or cabbage or sweet pepper, when people are admitted and are still on the floor in hospitals, and when schools have reopened and some students are in church hall because there's still no roof on their school. We don't think that is the best spend of the limited resources for a government that is trying to be frugal.
Let me put it another way then. Understanding the politics of it, Dr. Campbell, a series of by-election where the PNP is not contesting, don't you think that this may energize the base of the JLP while deflating the base of the members of the People's National Party?
The base of the JLP is not my concern. I am responsible for the energizing of the base of the PNP, and I don't need any assistance from the JLP to energize the base of the PNP.
Dr. Campbell, is this really more a concern that, considering the nature of the seat or seats that are potentially going up for by-election, the PNP just feels it's not economically feasible to put a challenge up to something that they are almost guaranteed not to win?
We haven't gotten to that point yet, because we haven't gotten past the part of saying that in the final year leading to an election, where elections in Jamaica are not announced in the months of June, July, and August, so you're at least at maximum 9 months away from a general election. By the end of this by-election, you are 8 months away maximum. That the general election is going to be called shortly, right? We know that there are investigations that are taking place, that the reports will come shortly. We see what is taking place in the country with food prices, with all the other problems that are going on. The minister that the government said was the star in the class. If you're playing football, the person that they said was a danger man on the other side, the linesman just walk up and put up his number and tell him to come off the field because he's been transferred to the IMF. Why in that situation, why would we be scared of anything? We have a plan. We've always had a plan. I've said this from 3.5 years ago. We have a plan as to how we want to get to where we want to go. We've charted a course that is evidence-based, data-driven, and we do not believe that the Labour Party, in trying to rescue their failing fortunes, as the Prime Minister said, he needs to reshuffle and remake his thing to deliver, because clearly they're not delivering. In doing that, we do not think that that should come at the expense of the public that is already burdened and already finding it hard to survive. How does somebody on minimum wage earning $15,000 per week, how do they feed their family if a pound of tomatoes...
Let us go back a bit though, Dr. Campbell, because you said something that I want clarity on and we're running out of time. You indicated that reports will come shortly. How do you know that? Do you have sources inside the Integrity Commission advising you?
I do not have any sources more than you would have. I am simply using...
But how did you come to that conclusion then that reports will be coming shortly?
Well, they told me that Jesus soon come back. That's 2,000 years ago. So when I say reports will soon come, I didn't put a date on it, did I?
No, but you seem to be almost certain that this is going to happen between now and the next general election.
That Christ will return. I am certain that Christ will return.
Dr. Campbell, come on. You're saying shortly. Anyone would know what shortly means, Dr. Campbell.
I'm saying that those reports will come. That's what I'm saying.
Very well, Dr. Campbell.
Let me ask you one other one, Dr. Campbell, because let's look at the finances of it. Financing a by-election, and you would know, you're at this for a very long time, is a costly venture. Did the People's National Party decided to make a financial decision to save the money until the general election, and that is the reason why you're not contesting the by-election?
Oh. The money that should be saved is not what the PNP or the JLP is going to spend. The money that should be saved is the money that the state is going to spend.
That's fine, and we can talk to the government about that, Dr. Campbell. I'm asking you about your party. Talk to me about that one.
That's my interest, my brother, to look after the welfare of the Jamaican people.
Of course, but the particular question is asking about your party, so talk to me about that.
No, the resources that the party would expend, those are not resources that are coming from the people. The state resources are the taxpayers' money. That is what should not be wasted in a serial in keeping serial by-elections at $25 million per by-election to settle internal JLP business. That is unfair to a country where people are suffering. Only 18% of students passing 5 subjects to include math and English. People hospitalized on chairs, and people can't buy food. How do you justify that?
Dr. Campbell, you seem
I hear you. You still haven't answered the question, though, Dr. Campbell.
I have answered. You don't like the answer that I've given.
No, man. I'm asking about, is it that your party made a financial decision to save the money until the general election? I hear you about the government, and that is something that we need to tackle the government on, but I'm asking about your party.
In the discussion, because our initial consideration was that this is unconscionable. It is orchestrated to create that vacancy. It is blatant hypocrisy because you have left the seat that is without a member of parliament for 1 year, and you've called a by-election for the one that is without a member of parliament less than 24 hours.
But Dr. Campbell, the Prime Minister has already suggested that those by-elections are coming.
I don't believe much of what the Prime Minister says. I wish you well in believing it.
Then let me ask you, Dr. Campbell, it's not as if the People's National Party are any strangers to strategically calling elections or by-elections. And then there's the matter of East Central St. Andrew. Hasn't Dr. Phillips been in the departure lounge for at least 2 years going on now? Why has he not moved from that position to allow somebody else to come in?
Because he does not want the state to have to spend money to call a by-election.
Oh?
Then he can wait until the general election. Similarly, Audley Shaw, Mike Henry, Carl Samuda, J.C. Ochize, Badru Green, all of these persons. Remember, the Jamaica Labour Party did not orchestrate to get out one of the persons in the departure lounge. They orchestrated to get out a young lady who is in her first term that they should have supported so she could survive in the seat. They used her and discarded
her. Dr. Campbell, are you still there?
I am here.
Very well. So, Dr. Campbell, if the People's National Party is not going to contest these by-elections, and let me put it another way, I think that is being avoided to ask you directly, is the PNP strapped for cash?
No, sir. The PNP is not strapped for cash. We have a conference coming up next week, Sunday, September 15th at the arena. I'm sure you will be there to see the people coming out in their hundreds of thousands, where we will outline some of the plans for our future PNP administration. We'll have our candidates. We'll have a good vibes in the arena. We'll mobilize our supporters. We're not. You will see our campaign activities going forward. We're not strapped for cash. That is not a concern of ours at this point.
So
have you settled all...
Dr. Campbell?
Have you settled on all your candidates, Dr. Campbell, for the general election?
62 of the 63, and we're doing the interviews today for the other constituencies. So the candidates will...
What constituencies are those? Dr. Campbell?
Am I being heard? Yes?
Yes, I was asking what constituencies are those?
No, what would be that? The only one that is still the one that we're settling. The one that we're
one. I didn't hear that. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
Right. That's Northwest St. Andrew, ironically.
So that would be the person running against not Dr. Nigel Clarke when that by-election is called?
That's the person that will represent the PNP in the next general election in Northwest St. Andrew.
So, and you will not be contesting Dr. Clarke's seat during a by-election?
I don't think the statement was ambiguous at all.
Very well. That is Dr. Dayton Campbell. He's the PNP's General Secretary. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
All the best.
Always a pleasure, Dr. Campbell.
That is it for the cover story. The headlines are next.
Cover Story was brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Looking to rent a fully operational production studio? Then Nationwide 90 FM has got you covered. We have flexible options to meet your recording needs any day of the week. Monday to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays available upon request. Bookings must be made in advance. Call us today at 630-1210. Let us help you reach your production desires.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. The Met Service has issued a flash flood watch for low-lying and flood-prone areas of all parishes. The warning is in effect until 7 a.m. on Thursday. The Met Service says a strong tropical wave west of Jamaica is currently producing disorganized showers and thunderstorms. According to the Met Service, the tropical wave will continue to impact the island tonight into tomorrow. The forecast is for cloudy skies and occasional showers and thunderstorms to persist across sections of most parishes. Southern and northwestern parishes will experience most of the showers associated with the system. The Met Service says periods of strong gusty winds are forecasted for both tonight and Thursday. Fishers and other marine interests are being urged to exercise caution as sea conditions will deteriorate due to thunderstorms. After 12 consecutive quarters of economic growth, the Jamaican economy has stalled. Director General of the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, Dr. Wayne Henry, says GDP for the April to June quarter barely improved by 0.1%.
Today, we are reporting that the Jamaican economy remained relatively flat, recording an estimated growth of 0.1% compared with the corresponding quarter, April to June 2023. The outturn for the review quarter largely reflected the normalization of performances of most industries following the return to pre-COVID-19 levels of output in 2023. Specifically, the performance mainly reflected the estimated downturns in the wholesale and resale trade, repair and installation of machinery, and the construction industries, as well as a slowing in the pace of growth in most other industries.
Meanwhile, the PIOJ is estimating a potential contraction in the Jamaican economy for the July to September quarter. Dr. Henry says it's anticipated this will be caused by the impact of Hurricane Beryl, which passed just south of the island on July 3.
A downturn in output levels is projected for some industries, including agriculture, forestry and fishing, mining and quarrying, electricity and water supply, as well as hotels and restaurants industry. The agriculture, forestry and fishing industry reported preliminary estimate of damages of $10 billion. The most significant fallout was experienced by farmers along the southern belt, namely the parishes of St. Elizabeth, Clarendon, Manchester and Westmoreland. Against this background, for July to September 2024, it is anticipated that the economy will contract within the range of negative 0.1% to negative 1%.
Dr. Wayne Henry, Director General of the PIOJ. A travesty. That's how Prime Minister Andrew Holness is describing the pressure put on primary school students to perform in their exit exams for a coveted place in high schools. The Prime Minister was responding to journalists at a post-cabinet media briefing at his office in St. Andrew on Wednesday.
It is a travesty in my mind that we place so much pressure on our young ones at an early age, where some may naturally exhibit the ability to grasp information quickly and regurgitate it. That is not a measure of intelligence or creativity. And we distribute our best educational spaces in that way to the detriment of the rest of the society. And we have been doing this for ages.
The Prime Minister says the government's plan to fix the education system will tackle how children are taught from an early age. He says this will involve refocusing the curriculum to cover skills in literacy, numeracy, and technology.
So the strategy of the government must focus on improving all schools. And that must start with the basics in education. We are piling on too much on our kids at an early age. We need to ensure that they can read, that they can function well in a numerate way, that they can articulate, and that they can interface with technology. Once we get them those core learning skills, the world of knowledge is open to them. You're going to see an emphasis on streamlining what our children learn at an early age. You're going to see an emphasis on the development of the skills necessary to drive our education system.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness. 4 teachers of St. James High School have allegedly been terminated from the institution without probable cause and due process. One of the teachers, Tiana Taylor, told Nationwide News that she received a termination letter on June 27. It says her tenure at the Joseph Williams-led St. James High would come to an end on August 31. But, according to Miss Taylor, she has not received an appraisal since she started teaching at the institution in September of last year.
I did not do any. I reached out to my head of department for her to provide the hard copy of my appraisal, which would support what the letter was saying. A week after, she came to school and she said that she wanted to speak with me. So I promptly asked her for the hard copy of my evaluation. What she did, she took a blank evaluation form and said that I should complete it. And I looked at her and I said, no. She sat there and she completed one on spot.
Miss Taylor says she was told to return to work on Monday by chairman of the institution, Christopher McCurdy, but she was stopped at the gate by the security. The matter has since been reported to the Ministry of Education and the Jamaica Teachers Association. Several calls to Principal of St. James High, Joseph Williams, have gone unanswered. PNP President Mark Golding says his party will not be contesting the by-election called by Prime Minister Andrew Holness for the Northeast St. Anne constituency. The by-election is scheduled to take place on September 30, with nomination day set for September 11. The opposition leader also says the PNP will not contest any parliamentary by-elections before the next general elections. According to Mr. Golding, the decision to call a by-election so close to an anticipated general election is a slap in the face to the electorate. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Sports is next.
Say hello to peace of mind and goodbye to worry with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan, and secure your medical expenses in the event of critical illness today. Call 888-367-5433 for details.
The time by Guardian Life is
7 minutes after 6.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Drive Hyundai. Hyundai vehicles beyond your dreams with an exclusive 4.99% interest rate. Yes! Shop Hyundai vehicles and get a super low 4.99% interest rate on your car loan. Plus 2 years free service, 1 year insurance, and 5 years warranty. Offer valid on all 2024 Hyundai vehicles. Drive your Hyundai with the lowest interest, 4.99%. Conditions apply.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Jamaica's national senior women's football team captain Khadija Shaw has been nominated for the 2024 Women's Ballon d'Or Award for the best female footballer in the world. Shaw was today named in a list of 30 women's football players from around the world who will battle for the big prize on October 28 at the Théâtre du Châtelet in the heart of Paris. This is a second straight year for Shaw as a Ballon d'Or nominee, and it comes following another stunning season for Manchester City in the Women's Super League, where she copped the 2 big individual awards, the PFA Player of the Season and the Player of the Year at the WFA Awards. Shaw took City to the brink of the title with 21 goals in 18 games before injury curtailed her season close to the end. City lost the title on goal difference in a close race with Chelsea. Meanwhile, for the first time in 21 years, the names of Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi will not be in contention for the biggest individual award in in global football. Messi and Ronaldo have won 13 Ballon d'Or awards between them. They dominated the award since 2008, with only two other players, Luka Modric of Croatia in 2018 and Karim Benzema in 2022, coming between them during that long period of dominance. On Wednesday, a list of 30 players was released for the Ballon d'Or in 2024. Spain and Manchester City midfield star Rodri leads the list. That includes another leading contender, Jude Bellingham, along with Kylian Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. of Real Madrid. Bukayo Saka, William Saliba, Erling Haaland and Phil Foden from the Premier League are also on that list. That will be cut to a handful ahead of the big announcement on October 28. Another school has withdrawn from the Issa Water Da Costa Cup football competition. St. Catherine-based Yuaton High School will not take part in this year's competition. Yuaton was scheduled to play in Zone J alongside Charlemont, Dental Tech, Enid Bennett, McGrath, and Tatius Golding. However, with the prior withdrawal of Enid Bennett, the group is now down to 4 teams. This marks the third team to withdraw from the Da Costa Cup since the season was launched last month, Fair Prospect being the other. This now reduced the number of schools in the Da Costa Cup to 82, while the withdrawal of Spanish Town High School cut the number of schools in the Manning Cup to 39. The new schoolboy football season gets going this weekend. The Manning Cup champions Mona will take on Waterford High School in the opening game of a Catherine Hall triple header on Saturday. The Da Costa Cup winners, Clarendon College, will open their defence against Denby High in the second game before Cornwall College and Herbert Morrison clash in a Mowbray derby in the feature game. Defending champions, the Guyana Amazon Warriors and the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots are meeting just about now at Warner Park in round 7 of the Caribbean Premier League. The Patriots are seeking their third win in 4 starts, while the Warriors will be hoping for their second victory from as many games. World and Olympic pole vault record holder and champion Mundo Duplantis defeated the Olympic 400 meters hurdle silver medalist Karsten Warholm in a 100 meters exhibition race on today's first day of the 2-day Zurich Diamond League meeting. The pole vault record holder won in 10.37 seconds. Warholm came back home in 10.47.
Duplantis gets the best start as expected, but Warholm is right there with him. Duplantis is not giving this up though. Warholm tried to chase him down, but Duplantis continues to go away. Duplantis gets it with a look back, 10.37. That is quick. Whoa, that is fast. For a pole vaulter, you're kidding me. 10.37. Warholm may well have run a personal best as well.
With one 400 meters hurdles world record holder already taken down, Duplantis has his eyes on another.
1v1 head race. I mean, this is something completely new and I think quite innovative. And I'm very just thankful for the organization here in World Class. And I think we really put on a great show. And I hope that everybody enjoyed it because it was very fun. And I can do something like this again. I heard that Sydney got kicked out of Brussels, so if she wants to race maybe a 400, we'll do an extra event in Brussels day before, day after or something. Maybe we fix that.
That's Mundo Duplantis. Warholm says he's open to a rematch.
I didn't want to lose, obviously. One of us had to lose, and I think it would hurt just as much for Mundo as it would hurt for me. So, it's a tough loss, but still, it's also an event and a venue that I'm extremely proud of. So it was fun. It was really fun, especially in the beginning. It wasn't that fun after crossing the finish line second. I'll say that, but all the way building up, it felt like something special and something new that I really enjoyed as well. Still, I think this is something that makes more sense as a one-time thing. If he wants a rematch, we'll do it, obviously, but still, it was also a one-time thing that we discussed, and if we do it again, we do it again. But right now, it looks like a one-time thing, but we'll see.
Karsten Warholm, shades of Donovan Bailey against Michael Johnson at the Varsity Stadium in the late 1990s, over 150 meters, and they ran for $1 million, and Donovan Bailey ran away with it and in the end called Michael Johnson a chicken. Meanwhile, 14 Jamaicans are down for action at the Diamond League meeting in Zurich tomorrow. Rashawn Clark in the men's 400 meters hurdles, Rochelle Clayton, Shan Summon, Anjanette Knight and Genevieve Russell will go in the women's equivalent. Tajay Gale, Wayne Pinnock and Carey McLeod in the men's long jump. Tia Clayton in the women's 100 meters, where 6 of the 8 women who ran in the Paris Olympic finals are back for this race, while Rashid Broadbell and Hansa Parchment will run in the 110 meters hurdles. Danielle Williams will go in the women's equivalent, where Ginger Campbell in the shot put and Lamar Distin in the women's high jump. Olympic women's 100 meters champion Julian Alfred says she intends to close her season on a high at the Diamond League finale. Alfred is set to run in the women's 100 meters tomorrow. Alfred is also set to compete at the Diamond League final in Brussels on September 14. St. Lucia is eagerly preparing to welcome home its national heroine, Alfred, who made history at the Summer Olympic Games with a gold medal in the 100 meters and a silver in the 200. The Julian Alfred homecoming celebration is in full swing, led by a special committee chaired by the Sports Minister, Kenson Casimir. This celebration will be a national event to honor Alfred's incredible achievement on the global stage. The 23-year-old says she's looking so forward to going back home.
I haven't gotten a chance to celebrate with my country as yet, to see the youth of my country. So I really just want to go back to St. Lucia and celebrate with them and maybe go for vacation after that. Still deciding on where I want to go.
That's Julian Alfred, and the hotel chain that has its headquarters here in Jamaica has offered to put her up. It's up to her to choose which of the properties she wants to go to. Jamaica will be sending a team to St. Kitts and Nevis to defend their title in the America's Netball Men's Championships from September 12 to 18. The tournament will feature 8 participating countries, namely Jamaica, Antigua and Barbuda, England, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago, the United States, and the host country, St. Kitts and Nevis. The Jamaica Suns are the defending champions, having won the inaugural competition in 2022 in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Chairman of the Male Netball Association, Ricardo Grant, says they are prepared to defend their title.
We are very excited. We know it will be tough, but we're prepared. We have been training and preparing ourselves for this, and without a doubt, we know that we will gain our title. Training has been good. It has been rigorous, getting prepared and getting ready. So just as any other sport, you have to put in the work, and we have been doing all of that. And so far, I can tell that we are mentally, physically, we are prepared for this tournament.
And Grant says it will cost $6 million for the team to travel to the Eastern Caribbean. He says the sponsorship deal they signed with Inter-Caribbean Airways has significantly reduced the budget.
The sponsorship from Inter-Caribbean has been a burden lifter. Being awarded 50% discount has pushed us further to our goal. Sponsorship is very tough, and having this partnership signed between us and Inter-Caribbean, trust me when I say, Alric, that this has propelled us forward in a better light. Our overall budget for this will be looking at $6 million, and with the sponsorship from Inter-Caribbean, of course, just cut it down to about $4 million tops.
That's Chairman of the Male Netball Association, Ricardo Grant. Czech Karolina Muchova overcame illness to reach her second consecutive U.S. Open semifinal with a 6-1, 6-4 win over Beatrice Haddad-Mea. Muchova left the court after wrapping up the first set with ease. She ran off court at 2-1 and again at 3-2 in the second, and was seen by the doctor and physio at 4-3. The unseeded 28-year-old, who only returned to action in June after having wrist surgery in February, will face either the top seed Iga Swiatek or the American 6th seed Jessica Pegula for a place in the championship final on Saturday. And finally, head coach of Jamaica's senior men's rugby team, Romeo Monteith, says he has mixed feelings to the sport's global governing body's decision to reduce the number of teams that will compete at the 2026 World Cup from 16 to 10. This is set for Australia. Monteith says the decision was taken to make the games more competitive and the tournament financially viable.
There are 2 sides to the coin. It's a step in the wrong direction in terms of the traditional view of World Cups for most sports is that you want to get bigger, you want to expand, right? Because the more nations you have represented region of the world, the more you're promoting your sport, the greater the chance of getting your sport to bigger markets. The other side of the coin for rugby league is that rugby league, we do have a financial problem internationally when it comes down to the international game. Whereas the professional club game in Australia, it's $1 billion sport. The World Cups have not really made the type of money that was predicted each time. I think 2013 was probably the biggest turnover. So the international body, they have to reduce costs. And the way they're leaning now, they're saying, well, we want the World Cup to be more competitive. So we get the best 10 teams. And then that will give us a bigger crowd to be less expensive to put on. And so they're hoping that they'll make more money from it.
And the top 8 teams from 2022 will qualify automatically. And they are Australia, Tonga, England, New Zealand, Samoa, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, and Lebanon. They'll be joined by the top 2 nations from around robin qualifying tournament next year. The qualifiers are Jamaica, the Cook Islands, South Africa, and the winners of a European group comprising France, Wales, Serbia, and Ukraine. Monteith says Jamaica will be strong contenders.
The 4 teams, 2 will make it. France are favored. You know, they have a full professional team. Cook Islands will also be very strong. And, I think, ranking-wise, most persons will put Jamaica at number 3. They put us ahead of South Africa. So our aim is to really upset Cook Islands, really. So, they also have a lot of professional players. It's going to be extremely difficult, but our aim is to really go that route and get to the World Cup.
That's head coach of Jamaica's senior men's rugby team, Romeo Monteith. That's sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:20.
Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited are authorized distributors of international brands ABB, Omron, STC, Festo, and Thomas & Betts. They supply programmable logic controllers, photoelectric and proximity sensors, contactors and soft starters, power supplies, variable frequency drives, and much more. Visit them at 24 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston, or shop 32 Overton Plaza, 46 Union Street, Montego Bay, or visit their website cleasling.net. Cleasing Industrial Supplies for all your industrial automation and control solutions.
Here's to the early risers, and we are here all-nighters. The go the extra milers, and let's do it until it works. Workers. People who are powerful because they power through day after day, challenge after challenge. You see, true power, it's not something you can buy or collect. It is something that starts on the inside, and you always know it when you see it. Sunshine Snack Peanuts. Proud supporters of the powerful.
Jamaica is good, yeah. I make we enjoy life, what we feel safe at night.
Driver, take time with me and let me out.
Lady, relax yourself. Me a drive from me a youth. Me know what me a do.
Hey, one stop in a driver. You know make me not live for see the rest of the day.
Driver, I know you want your drive for, you know. Take time, man.
You have to drive better, man. And not just for me life. You might take all our life too. So me I beg you take time, man.
And you know the right thing, you know, driver. See how much people dead on the road? Plus, remember, say police out there them new technology device for catch people who are drive fast. By the way, I hope you don't have no ticket, you know. Because remember, we have a new law. Why we not just do the right thing and make we live good?
You know, sir, true not talk me passengers. Me have a youth who me want to live to see him grow. Look here, no man, easy on yourself. Me can take corrections. As for the new traffic ticket business, me no want no police give me no more traffic ticket. Me I go do the right thing so we can all live good. Respect.
Jamaica is good, yeah. I make we enjoy life, what we feel safe at night. Jamaica is good.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robianne Williams. It's midweek. A good evening to our friends on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for tuning in. We always like to hear from you, so we're asking you to comment in the comment section on today's Public Opinion. And from morning till now, we've been hearing the news. We are going to the polls. Well, not all are we, but Northeast St. Anna by-election has been announced in that constituency for September 30 this year. Nomination day is scheduled for September 11. The announcement sends a strong signal that Prime Minister Andrew Holness is readying the JLP, the ruling JLP, for general elections due by October next year. So on Tuesday, embattled MP for Northeast St. Anne, Marcia Smith, she resigned with immediate effect, paving the way for Government Senator and Cabinet Minister, Matthew Samuda, who has been doing the political work for the JLP in the constituency. He is set to be the JLP's candidate come nomination day. Prime Minister Andrew Holness was speaking on Wednesday at the post-cabinet media briefing at Jamaica House.
Today, I am announcing that a by-election will be held in the constituency of Northeast St. Anne. The nomination day will be September 11th, 2024, and the election day will be September 30th, 2024.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness there speaking with the media at Wednesday's post-cabinet press briefing. And Prime Minister Holness has not committed to firm timelines for by-elections in two other constituencies. You have by-elections in South Trelawney and Northwest St. Andrew there. South Trelawney where you have Dalrymple Philibert, and the Northwest St. Andrew, the former MP Dalrymple Philibert. And, Northwest St. Andrew, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark is stepping away due to his appointment to the IMF. Let me see. The report accused a report in September 21, which saw MP Dalrymple Philibert resigning, as Member of Parliament in South Trelawney, was a report from the Integrity Commission where she was accused of failing to disclose the purchase of a motor vehicle in her statutory declarations for the period 2015 to 2021. In the Northwest St. Andrew constituency, Dwayne Smith, he's expected to be the JLP's standard bearer in that constituency. So many talks about by-elections and everything. We're asking you in public opinion, do you think, or should all the by-elections be held at once? That's Northwest St. Andrew. That seat is as it stands vacant, as well as South Trelawney. And, of course, Northeast St. Anne. So we're putting the question to you, should all these by-elections be held at once? I'm going to start with the comments on our Instagram platform, where Dwight Spence is saying yes. Lara Dev saying that we can wait for the general election. We have been waiting for more than a year for South Trelawney. Roderick Brown is saying yes to the by-elections being held at once. 49 Shades of Grey is saying, General we want, time wasted can never be regained. Zoe School is saying, I suppose it all will depend on the financial ability. Okay. And Sinlair is saying, no, one by one. Observer Objective is saying, has more than one by-election ever been held in Jamaica at the same time? From memory, no. Why start it now? And he's saying that my answer is a no. On our X platform, the final curtain is saying yes to our question. All by-elections should be held at once. Christopher Clark saying, I'm appalled by the disrespect shown to the people of South Trelawney, who have been without representation for nearly a year now. I do not support this cherry picking of where by-elections should be held. Ms. Blunt from Shaban, saying, yes, the time, resources, and money spent on these things can be allocated to other areas that desperately need attention. No, Donna Mealy saying, yes, all the by-elections should be held at once, no cherry picking. Rodney Williams, I suppose it will all depend. I read this one over on Instagram. All depending on the financial ability, he says. Yes, coming from Lady Reen, and also CJ saying yes, the by-elections should all be held at once. Over on Facebook, Ricardo Evans is saying that's not a bad idea. Yeah, that's not a bad idea at all. Winston, if possible, yes, but if not, one at a time is okay. Beverly Barrett is saying can't because Nigel don't exit his office yet. Yeah, he exits his office, I believe, October. Is it in October? Or his appointment becomes effective in October. All right, Beverly. Rodney Williams is saying, again, depending on the financial ability. Rodney Williams, they're all over on Twitter. I appreciate you. Carlisle Williams is saying that a by-election at this point is a waste of time and taxpayers' money. Just throw the new JLP candidate in the seat and let them do what they're doing until the general election next year. Well, Christopher Isaac saying no, that the PNP will not play ball. Definitely. And of course, the People's National Party, they have indicated that they will not be contesting any by-election any at all, whether it be Northwest St. Andrew, Southern Trelawney, or Northeast St. Anne. They're not budge. They're not budging. Philip Jackson is saying, in my opinion, the PM knows what to do and when to do what and why. He's a very skilled individual, so I trust his judgment. He is a chess player guy. To this question, whether or not the by-elections should all be held at once, Corey Durant saying, call a by-election for all vacant seats or hold the general election. Calling only one by-election is a waste of taxpayers' money. Lynette Chambers saying, costing the country too much money when schools need roofs for new school year. And Dervin Myers, not necessarily. It will be the cost whether they're held at once or one at a time. But for sure, in principle, he needs to call by-elections for all the vacant seats. Ending the comments on our social media platform, Natalie Winter saying, yes, they should all be held at once. If you're just joining us, we're inside the court of public opinion. The question we're putting to you amid the announcement of a by-election in Northeast St. Anne, we're asking you, should by-elections be held for all the vacant seats, Northwest St. Andrew and South Trelawney included? Let me go on over to our YouTubers to see what's being said about this one. Booker T says no general until next year. Big budget plan for 2025-26. Sharon said no, one cocoa, full basket. Look at that being applied. All right. Leroy Rotti, I see you saying that if PNP not contesting, why waste money to run these by-election? Save the money for the general. Yeah. All right. Let me see if I can get in some more. Ian Williams says yes, it should. The Big Steve Cooking Show, yes to the by-election. Affectionate Forest believes that it has to be kept one by one, one after the other. Yep. Anita says no. One by one, PNP won't get to go. Okay, I can't say that, Anita, because you know, we're not promote that. We don't want to see that none at all. No, we don't want to see no, none of that, none at all. Let me see if I can get in a few more. Joel Levy says all by-election can't be called at the same date. Yes, as I said before, Minister Clark will leave office in October. Cynthia Matheson says it depends on the discretion of the Prime Minister. Yeah. Stronglink saying no, the PM is in the best position to know when it's ideal to call the by-elections. Well, we will have to wait and see. He did not give a firm date as to when those other vacancies will be filled for by-elections in those two other constituencies, South Trelawney and Northwest St. Andrew. So it's for us to wait and see. But what we do know is that Northeast St. Anne will come aliver, yes, on September 30 this year. Yeah, constituents there are going to the polls. Nomination day scheduled for September 11. But that's all the time we have for public opinion this evening. Do stay tuned for the business report up next.
Public opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:34. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. After 12 consecutive quarters of economic growth, the Jamaican economy has stalled. The Jamaican economy failed to register meaningful growth for the April to June quarter of this year. Gross domestic product GDP for the period was flat. The economy grew by a negligible 0.1%, and that's according to the latest information provided by the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, at a quarterly media briefing on Wednesday. Now, the PIOJ is also estimating that the economy will contract in the next quarter due to the impact of Hurricane Beryl. Both the goods producing services and services industry recorded less than 1% growth. On the goods producing side, average growth was 0.7% for the period. Now, this was mainly driven by a 6.2% increase in the mining and quarrying sector. It was followed by a 2.7% improvement in agriculture. The services industry grew by only 0.1%. And for the first time in years, hotels and restaurants did not lead growth in this segment of the economy. Further afield, Donald Trump's media company was hit by a fresh round of selling on Wednesday, wiping out gains the share price had enjoyed this year alongside the rising political fortunes of its namesake. Shares fell more than 6% to less than $17, which is less than what they were worth at the start of 2024. The share price, which hit a peak in April during the former president's criminal trial, has fallen more than 70% from its high. The firm operator of the social media platform Truth Social still boasts a market value of more than $3.3 billion. Now, that's a hefty sum for a small company with shrinking revenue and growing losses. And finally, the currency markets at the close of trading today. It cost 158 Jamaican dollars and 44 cents to buy $1 US, 207 Jamaican dollars and 91 cents to buy $1 British pound, and 117 Jamaican dollars and 52 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
Taboo topics, bulletins after dark,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between.
Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings, each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Boyatings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored.
Boyatings After Dark.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's Word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis
Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis, weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of The Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
The Oasis is brought to you by Solar Tech Jamaica. We use the gift of the sun to power our world.
On September 5, 2024 at 1 p.m., join at Nationwide Radio on the X platform, formerly Twitter, for an insightful X space on Coconut for a Circular Economy, building partnerships for maximum value. Hosted by Nationwide 90 FM's very own reporter, presenter, and journalist, Robian Williams. We will explore how coconut can drive sustainable business practices and reveal how collaborations are transforming the coconut industry. Don't miss the opportunity to hear from and interact with representatives from the Coconut Industry Board. So join at Nationwide Radio on the X platform for the Coconut for a Circular Economy X Space, September 5 from 1 to 1:25 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Nation's Business is brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
Good evening, listeners and viewers. It's 6:42 and it's time for the Nation's Business. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
My name is Sanjay Lewis. So during Wednesday's post-cabinet press briefing at Jamaica House, Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced a by-election will be held for North East St. Ann on September 30. Nomination day will be on September 11. However, the Prime Minister would not be drawn on disclosing the dates for by-elections in two other constituencies.
North East St. Ann is not singled out. As I have said, we are at a stage where we are now ready to do all the by-elections, and all of them will be done. It is just that this one is going to be done first, but all the by-elections will be done.
Can you give us a time frame as to when that
As
will
they
happen?
come, as they come due, they will be done. And I would say within months.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says by-elections are expected in South Trelawney and Northwest St. Andrew. On September 21 last year, Marissa Dalrymple-Filbert resigned as MP for South Trelawney following a damning report published by the Integrity Commission. The report accused her of failing to disclose the purchase of a motor vehicle in her statutory declarations for the period 2015 to 2021.
And in Northwest St. Andrew, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark is expected to vacate the seat at the end of October to take up a post at the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. Dwayne Smith is expected to be the JLP's standard bearer in that constituency. Well, joining us to discuss further, we're joined by political commentator Dr. Nadine Spence, Assistant Lecturer of Public Policy and Political Science at UWI Mona, Damian Gordon. Good evening, and thank you, as always, for joining us.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful.
Dr. Spence, are you there?
Dr. Spence?
I am here. Good evening.
Great. Let me start with you, Damian Gordon. Your reaction to the PM's announcement of a by-election in Northeast St. Anne, and also his response to that journalist about the other seats that are vacant.
All right. So this is pretty unusual, at which the Prime Minister moved to announce a by-election in Northeast St. Anne, given the fact that current of the resignation of the current Member of Parliament just a few days ago. Usually some time elapses between the resignation of a Member of Parliament and the announcement of a by-election. This indicates certainly that filling this vacancy is of higher priority to the Prime Minister. That has fueled some speculations as to why, this particular seat is of high interest to the Prime Minister. It could be indicative that the person who intends to represent the Jamaica Labour Party in that seat will play an important role in a new look cabinet. There is speculation that a cabinet reshuffle will be announced shortly, and Mattis Amuda, who is expected to be the standard bearer for the Jamaica Labour Party in that seat, might be playing an important role in that new look cabinet. I mean, in response, in relation to the Prime Minister's response, I don't think that response is adequate, considering the fact that there has been a vacancy in the South Trelawney seat for close to a year now. So if any seat should take precedence in terms of a by-election, I'm assuming that it would have been the seat that has been without an elected representative for a prolonged period of time. And considering that we expect to have a general election next year, we may end up with a total of 5 by-elections before the end of this year. If we consider the by-election in Northeast St. Anne, the by-election in South Trelawney, and the pending by-election in Northwest St. Andrew, plus there are 2 council seats that are now vacant due to the deaths of the sitting councils, which will require by-elections as well, which means that we may end up with a total of 5 by-elections. Logistically and financially, I'm not sure if it makes sense, if it is wise at this point in time for us to have by-elections, separate by-elections. The cost, plus given the budget constraints, the fact that we just came out of a natural disaster, and I don't think that there's a mood among the electorate for, I don't think there's a strong appetite among the electorate for elections. I think that this consensus is that we should perhaps just have one election, a general election, to fill those vacancies. But again, it is clear that the Prime Minister isn't. The Prime Minister hopes to fast track, the election of Mattis Amuda, and this to me indicates that Mattis Amuda is being earmarked to play a significant role in a new look cabinet. I'm expecting a cabinet reshuffle to be announced shortly.
Dr. Nadine Spence, following up with you, I mean, obviously the Prime Minister, it is within his discretion when the by-elections are called, as is the date be within the constitutional framework as to when an election is called. So do you see this as some kind of abuse of the process? And do you see, as Professor Gordon pointed out there, that this could be a potential poor move considering how close we are to a general election?
The truth of it is that Dr. Clark resigned. We got that news, was it last week? And
yes.
He's not resigned. No, to be correct, he has not resigned yet. But yes, he has announced that he's leaving, yes.
Announced to be leaving, yeah.
Right. So clearly the government is thinking about what is in their best interest in terms of maintaining government the next time we have an election. I think that's what all governing parties do, whether they have a fixed election date or not. They seek to maintain an advantage. Perhaps what we are seeing is the government insistence that with Nigel Clark out, what is it going to be? The end of September, the 1st of I don't remember the exact date. Whenever
the end of October.
Their best bet is to find a position outside of the Senate for Matthew Samuda. I mean, a lot of us had expected it would have been somebody who is currently in the House of Representatives, in the lower house, who would have filled that seat. I think that this move has been made. Everybody is wondering, what does this mean? But I think it's within the Prime Minister's right to do so, constitutional right to do so. We might differ as to whether or not we think it is the most expedient move. It might turn out not to be. Who knows? It clearly is politicking, and the government of the day, the Jamaica Labour Party, seeking to ensure that it is not negatively impacted by the departure of Dr. Clark, which we know is going to have a significant impact on the government. So clearly the government feels that it is in a position where it needs to do things differently. And so I think that this is a reaction to that. I don't think we expected it. I think everybody expected that Northeast St. Ann would have been contested by Matthew come the next general election. Nobody would have seen this. So I don't know. Clearly, this is the Prime Minister doing what his office allows him in our Constitution, which is to play the politics in his favor.
And just to follow up, Dr. Spence, I know there are a lot of people upon hearing this have called again, as the calls have been repeated over and over, for dates for by-elections to be fixed to a period after the resignation or untimely withdrawal of a member of parliament. But would that change anything? Wouldn't the MP in question still simply just stay in the seat until their party leader has decided that it is quite within their political expedience to call such an election? And it doesn't seem that there's any appetite on either side when they're in power to actually make that adjustment for fixed elections.
I mean, that's true. I think it's a political advantage that the party in power has. When you're in opposition, you complain about that advantage, and when you're in government, you make use of it. I don't think that the change is going to necessarily come in the way we anticipated. The same kind of impatience that the rest of the public might have for that arrangement is not, one can see why. It's not what the government is going to have for the situation. So I think that was the intention of the parliamentary democracy system, to give an advantage to the incumbent, and I would imagine that this would have been an arrangement arrived by
the framers of the Constitution, yes.
A sitting government. Is a way of creating an advantage. It doesn't necessarily work that way all the time, though, because remember, we do change government. If it leads to an advantage to the point where it impacts the outcome of an election or it guarantees an incumbent government re-election, then we can say it creates an unfair advantage in a way that impacts the way we practice democracy. But in Jamaica, it hasn't done that.
But so. Damian Gordon, let me hear you, Damian Gordon, on the matter of the political capital that the Prime Minister may have spent on this decision, because we already seen the People's National Party putting a spin on it, indicating that the Prime Minister is playing the politics. A seat that has been vacant for almost a year has not yet been filled, but one that was vacated just a day ago, the by-election is called. Do you think that the PM may spend any political capital over this move?
Yes, because the decision to announce a by-election in Northeast St. Ann may be interpreted by Jamaicans as being an unprincipled position. It's one that was born out of expediency and not based on a commitment to ensure that all citizens across the country are equally represented. South Trelawney, if you were to go by the electoral data, is considered a safe JLP seat, more or less. And therefore, if the Jamaica Labour Party had called a by-election, or announced a by-election for that seat, at any point in time, it is likely that the Jamaica Labour Party candidate would have won. But that constituency has been without a member of parliament. Year, there has been a vacancy in a council seat in St. Thomas as well. And there has been advocacy on the part of the opposition for an election to be announced to fill that vacancy. And the Prime Minister has not heeded to that call. And that seat is currently without and has been without a representative. A councillor died in Clarendon several days ago. That seat is also, and that councillor died, and that before we heard of the resignation of Marsha Smith, and an election has not been announced for that seat. So the question is, why is it that the other constituency and division that have been that are without representation and have been without representation, why is it that they were not given the same, consideration as Northeast St. Ann? Why is it that Northeast St. Ann is being held to a different standard than the other, the South Trelawney and the council seat in St. Thomas, for example? So I think that it potential. I think a lot of it has fueled speculations where people are wondering, why is it that this seat is a priority? Is it that Marty Samuda will assume a central role in the cabinet of the Jamaica Labour Party? But in any event, the fact that it appears to be born out of expediency and not a commitment to any principle, the principle of ensuring that all voters or all constituents, all Jamaicans have access to representation. You can't have a constituency without a member of parliament for almost a year. Who represent those people? The passage of Beryl was not too long ago. Many of them have many issues related to the passage of Beryl that, the MP is expected to play a central role in making advocacy on their behalf, and they have other community challenges as well. So they have been without a standing representative in the parliament for almost a year. And for the Prime Minister to say, we're not sure about when the day for this election will be, but we move quickly to announce a by-election in Northeast St. Ann, a couple of days after the resignation of the Member of Parliament. I think that it can potentially backfire, and it has invited, questions and concerns and speculations, and many of them are potentially unfavorable, where people are saying, well, the Prime Minister, clearly it's a strategic move, it's something, it's born out of expediency rather than it indicating that the Prime Minister is committed to the service of all Jamaicans.
But Damian Gordon, how can it politically backfire, though, if the People's National Party has essentially said they're not contesting any of these by-elections and they'll wait till the general elections are come around?
Yeah, it may backfire if, for example, the election is held and the turnout is very low, and when the other by-elections are called, the turnout is also very low. I think that the extent that these elections may indicate a high level of disinterestedness and a high level of frustration among the Jamaican people, I think that the bigger picture, obviously, is the general election. And again, the Prime Minister has struggled in the recent polls that have released, and the recent polls have indicated a decline in the Prime Minister's favorability as well as the favorability of the government. You don't want to put yourself in a position to attract any more negative response or reaction from the voters who you intend to convince to give you a third term a year from now, by actually asking them to perhaps go to the poll 5 times this year. They've already gone through a local government election, and with a series of by-elections may be announced before the year ends. I think that when you combine those factors, I don't think that the electorate is in the mood and appetite for election at this point in time. I think people are saying, if we're going to have an election, let us do it properly and let us do it properly. Obviously, there are several vacancies now that require by-elections. Why not just have a general election, or rather than have 5 separate elections in a year when people are recovering from, for example, burial. We already had a local government election. There are other issues that people are complaining about, and the resources will be required to manage each election, significant resources. So that is where the potential for this to backfire lies.
But I have to challenge you on that one thing, though, regarding voter turnout. Jamaica's voter turnout has not been particularly stellar over the last few years. Yeah. And on top of that, no one really expects a by-election to have a large turnout, and especially one where the other party is just not going to contest it.
That's the point. If that will even compound the issue, because if opposition does not participate, people are going to see it, therefore, as a monumental waste of resources, because the opposition has withdrawn. It's pretty much a two-party race in any election, and if one party has withdrawn and it is only one party that is contesting the election, that further compounds, the perception that, it constitutes a monumental waste of what many Jamaicans consider to be very scarce resources that could have been directed towards other critical ends at this point in time.
I hear you want to come in, Dr. Spence, but I want to also ask you on the decision of the People's National Party not to contest any by-election, parliamentary by-election leading up to the general election. Do you believe that this is a good move, a smart move politically, not to contest any of these elections? And I also wanted to respond to what Damien was saying.
Whether or not it's a good move again. It's a lot of the conversations that we have about politics in Jamaica is so partisan that it's kind of difficult to assess, what is happening in terms of this particular situation, So what would be a middle of the ground perspective is what I'm thinking about and trying to wrap around my head. And I'm thinking that, okay, clearly this decision has been influenced by Dr. Clark's announcement of his departure. That's one. Two, the government is seeking to not be disadvantaged by that position. So is the matter really that the government wants to bring somebody into the Senate that is going to change the ground for it? Is it that Matthew Samuda is going to represent the most likely candidate for Minister of Finance? Is it that, so many other things? To me, the issue is not really about the election, because
it's not in a Dr. Spence, but hear me on this. The optics is also, in politics, you and I know that optics is important. And understanding that you have Southern Trelawney, that for over almost a year, there's no representative. And we know Southern Trelawney is a strong JLP constituency. Why not just have the election in Southern Trelawney to not have this wasted political capital where individuals are now speaking about other constituencies that you have decided not to fill, but you decided to move forward with Northeast because we understand the situation with Matthew Samuda?
Is it that Miss Dalrymple is coming back for her seat, perhaps? No. It's politics, remember, there are some cards that we don't know about. But perhaps we are going to see the return of Mrs. Dalrymple. And perhaps the matter that is outstanding needs to be resolved before she is ready for an election. Remember, it is the governing party that is going to call the shots, and it's going to act in its own advantage. That is not anything that is new to the political arena. What the question is, based on what we are seeing now, what could we surmise about what the government is thinking? At least that's from me. That's one. The second thing is, what about the PNPs choosing not to contest? Well, the PNP is also playing its own cards. What is it likely to happen when it runs, if it contests this election? It's going to lose. It doesn't want to go into an election period with losses around its name. It has to choose again. Is this going to give us an advantage? What are we going to likely get from this? If this is a JLP stronghold, we are going to get poor showing. Would it make sense to contest this and to have the JLP have a bragging point going into the next election? It's political, it's partisan chess game, and people are looking for what will suit them politically. So for me, there is the argument of what perhaps Damien is arguing is that on the face of it, this doesn't look good. These are some of the things that we have to consider. But the truth of it is when political parties are thinking through what it is that is going to drive their decisions, they're thinking about what is going to give them the political advantage.
So Dr. Spence, just as plainly as you put it, this is not some principled position you believe the People's National Party is taking. You just believe this is a strategic move on their part to essentially avoid what is going to be a blowout contest.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of us in this country know that. It's a JLP stronghold. Shatini Robinson made it a JLP stronghold. I think if the PNP suspected that this might be one of those constituencies where the tide has turned in their favor, they would, of course, have contested. But clearly, this is not the situation.
Damien, let me hear you on that. That's a good point raised by Dr. Spence. If the PNP had recognized that maybe it's a seat that they could win, maybe they would contest.
The reality is that when it comes down to elections, the government that has access to state resources, the ruling party, has an advantage in terms of being able to mobilize resources to campaign extensively for a by-election. Obviously, being in a position, you have to think more carefully about your resource capabilities. And I suspect that the limited resources that the opposition currently has at its disposal are being reserved for the general election. I'm not sure if it will be prudent for an opposition now to expend resources to campaign in, several by-elections when a general election is due in less than a year. Realistically, in some of the seats, for example, South Trelawney, I don't think that the opposition, People's National Party, has won that seat in decades, if ever. So at the Northeast St. Anne, as Nadine, Dr. Spence rightfully pointed out, has become more or less a JLP stronghold recently. I think that when the People's National Party projects the seats it expects to win in the next general election, I am quite sure that neither of these seats is counted among those that expect to take them back to state power. So I think that in that sense, it is strategic because the PNP may not see it themselves as having anything to lose from abstaining from the by-election. And rightfully, as Nadine pointed out, if the PNP felt that it has a strong chance of is viable or would be viable in either of these two seats, maybe they will show a keener interest. But again, the position can also come across as a principled position from the perspective of them saying you have to treat all the seats in the same way. You have to apply the same principle and the same standard across the board. And if you don't, we will not participate in the process. To that extent, the position of the People's National Party may be seen as principled because you have other prior vacancies that have not been filled and you're most likely to fill a vacancy. Obviously, it's not the same standard across the board, and to that extent, the position of the People's National Party can come across as principled, even though it can come across as strategic. So I think that to this extent, this puts the PNP in a favorable light, because in any event, the position of the PNP can claim that the position is principled. But at the same time, we can also speculate that it may be strategic, but we can't dismiss the principle behind the position, and it is one that resonates.
Mm-hmm. We have to leave it there. Thank you, as always, Assistant Lecturer of Public Policy and Political Science at UW-Mona, Damien Gordon, and political commentator Dr. Nadine Spence. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.
We take the break and have the Watchman, and after the Watchman, we will go to the phone lines.
Before the Watchman, this is an important public service announcement from the Jamaica Music Society, that's JMMS. The Jamaica Music Society wishes to advise its customers that its flow fixed lines are currently down. Customers can, however, make contact by using the following alternative numbers. That's 876-369-7038, that's 876-369-7038, and 876-369-5325, 876-369-5325. JAMMS is assuring its customers that the technical issues are being addressed and wishes to apologize for any inconvenience caused and thanks their valued customers for their patience.
Nation's Business was brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
Hey, did you know that the Jamaica Stock Exchange has a loyalty program?
No, what at?
Well, as a JSE Loyalty Club member, you are now able to earn rewards when you shop at any of the participating merchants island-wide.
But I don't own any stocks and I'm not a member.
No problem, man. Join the program by downloading the JSE Loyalty app, activate your account, and start racking up points with every purchase. Redeem points for goods and services at any participating merchant or choose to convert them into stocks.
So what if I already have stocks?
That's even better. It means that you are pre-enrolled on the program. You only need to download the app and activate. Start your portfolio, grow your portfolio, join our loyalty program, and earn, save, or invest. The Jamaica Stock Exchange, where loyalty builds financial performance.
And after the Watchman, we're going to take your calls, so please gear up. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. Come chat with us.
The Watchman. Exploring issues shaping our society, government, and business. Provocative, unconventional. Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening. American voters must choose, and choose well. There comes a time in the political life of every nation when what it needs most is a decent person at the helm of government. Not necessarily one with the most academic qualifications, experience in the job, economic prowess, charismatic persona, oratorical eloquence, or wealth, but instead one with character and high moral standards, one who leads by example, whose word is his or her bond, who governs by the Constitution, representing all the people without fear, favor, or political bias. For America, that time is now. America is a representative democracy. One feature of American politics not present in the parliamentary system of government and shunned by Jamaican politicians is the election of an executive president as the head of state through a separate process from election to the upper and lower house. Americans get to choose their president every 4 years. Joe Biden's decision to enter the race for president in the 2020 election was based primarily, he says, on his assessment that the 45th president, Donald Trump, in words and deeds, was the antithesis to decency, an existential threat to democracy, the Constitution, and the core values on which the nation was founded. The majority of voters agreed, and so Biden was elected the 46th president. If Donald Trump's character fitness for office was in doubt in 2020, it is much more so in 2024. His record as president and the January 6, 2021 attack on Capitol Hill, the seat of government, by a mob of his supporters to prevent the smooth transfer of power following an election he had lost, speak to Trump's divisiveness and authoritarian bent. Since then, his rap sheet, including being brought before the courts and found guilty on multiple felonious charges and a prison mugshot, is as long as that of a mafia crime boss. No individual with such a record has ever been entrusted with the presidency in America's long history since declaring independence in 1776. America is at the point of decision again. Fortuitously, it will not be Joe Biden, but his Vice President, Kamala Harris, who will be the standard bearer for the Democrats against the discredited and power-hungry Republican Donald Trump. A good number of the electorate will retreat to their party platform and party loyalty, while for most, the choice will be based on who they think can do the best job with bread and butter issues. There is much more at stake when character, personal decorum, and moral standards enter the equation. In what will arguably be the most consequential election in the country's history, American voters must choose, and choose well. Think on these things.
Produced by Agency for Inner City Renewal, AIR, and recorded in the Jamming Studio Trenchtown, a breath of fresh air bringing change to the inner city.
Once again, this is an important public service announcement from the Jamaica Music Society, JAMMS. The Jamaica Music Society wishes to advise its customers that its flow fixed lines are currently down. Customers can, however, make contact by using the following alternative numbers. That's 876-369-7038 and 876-369-5325. JAMMS is assuring its customers that the technical issues are being addressed and wishes to apologize for any inconvenience caused and thanks their valued customers for their patience. Well, now it is time for your calls, and the numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. Come talk with us.
Drive Hyundai. Hyundai vehicles beyond your dreams with an exclusive 4.99% interest rate. Yes! Shop Hyundai vehicles and get a super low 4.99% interest rate on your car loan. Plus 2 years free service, 1 year insurance, and 5 years warranty. Offer valid on all 2024 Hyundai vehicles. Drive your Hyundai with the lowest interest, 4.99%. Conditions apply.
On Sunday, August 11th, in the quiet community of Cherry Tree Lane in Clarendon, our entire nation was shaken by a brutal act of violence.
Gangsters mercilessly took the lives of 8 innocent Jamaicans, including a 7-year-old boy.
These criminals will strike again, destroying more families and more communities unless we stand together to stop them.
If you have any information that can help bring these killers to justice, please share it with the security forces.
The government has established a reward fund of $25 million for information leading to the arrest and charge of the perpetrators who committed this heinous act.
The facilitators who supply them with the arms, intelligence, and the transportation.
Nationwide at 5, it's time to take your calls. The phone lines are open, 630-937-124, 618-8255. And our first caller is Richie. Good evening, Richie.
Good evening.
Evening, Richie.
I'm hoping that my line will not go down because I'm suffering with flow as well. But my first part...
You're suffering with what? I didn't hear that.
The phone network.
Oh, dear.
Even today, I tried to talk to Cliff 2 different times and I get on line and my call drop. And it's happening consistently.
Oh, man. Yeah,
anyway.
We're hearing you now good, so yeah.
Yes, man. The PMP, they're reading the card very well. They know that if they enter any of the parish conciliation, not parish council, what's the name again?
Parliamentary by-elections.
Yes, parliamentary by-election.
Yeah, they're going to lose all of them. And it will not be looking good for them going to the general election. And on the other side, they are nervous because they are showing that their supporters that they stand no chance in the election. I know they're nervous. And
in the by-election or elections overall?
No. When they come to the general election, if they lose these elections, the by-elections, they will not win the general election. They know that. If they lost these elections, it will be a bad sign for them going to the general election.
Dr. Spence said it quite well. I mean,
yes, he said it
would blunt any momentum they've gained to have to lose 3 by-elections in a row, even if we're talking about safe seats for the JLP.
Yeah, man, they know it. So they are very nervous. To me, and you put them on the back foot of the Yaka, man. And they are very, very nervous. And to me, I don't see how they can, stand any good chance in the general election, you know. And my reason for this is saying, is this. They campaigned for 4 years, spreading all kind of lies and misinformation, and they couldn't win the parish council election, the parish council election. And until now,
but what say you? What say you though about the polls that shows Mark Golding and the PNP gaining grounds on the JLP, and Dr. Campbell earlier indicating that they have a strategy, they are doing the work in the field, and they are waiting for the general election?
No, that is not strange, because what is happening now? A lot of people do not understand the politics. You understand? They do not understand the politics. A lot of people, because for me, a lot of people know me. Walking in whole of a town, some people which I don't even know keep approaching and ask me what I think about this, what I think about that, and I have to tell them what I think about the election. We think we'll win the election. They don't understand a clue. So Mark Gordon can be gaining grounds for true, but not strong enough for him to compete in a generation and go with it.
But the PNP came from what I would call a political dead in their local government election, and they gained a significant number of parish council seats.
Brethren, I'm going to be honest to you. Vote buying was too obvious. It was too obvious. Everybody attacked. It was too obvious. And in my opinion, that's what they used to get the guns. And we know PNP party is very good at buying the vote. Very good at buying it. And that's what they use to get the votes. So what they can do this time, go there and buy as much vote, but it's not going to help them. People, the uncommitted voters out there listening and watching. Look at this way. From here, what is what Mark Gordon is going to use a campaign to tell people that this is what we are doing to help them? They have any plan, they don't have any plan. And if you should notice again, those liars on social media which used to be out there helping them, and you decide to bring them to book, they're gone. You find this man in America, what is his name again? The one who was up there campaigning for the PNP. What's his name? Who resigned the other day?
I can't. I know who you're referring to. I can't say he was campaigning for the PNP. So, but he did resign from his post. Yes,
and he resigned as well. So who am I going to have to help him? And he doesn't have a plan. He must have to go with a plan to tell people what he's going to do to help them, you know. And he doesn't have one. So what chance they have in the general election? You know what you need to do? Just fight the ear war and the gun war. You know ear war is?
I'm assuming you're talking on social media and over the general media.
Huh?
Yeah, you're talking on social media and over the general media, correct?
Everything, but and like run hard and radio, TV and everything. The here war is to talk about the past thing that he have done and what he has done and what he'll be doing. And the gun war is to educate the youngsters about the history of the PNP party. And done with them, because the thing is, you know, a big percent, this young generation does not have a clue about the PNP party. And this man talking with Cliff today, and he's talking about the set of people, one set of people calling the program. And Cliff even said to him, you can call about what Cliff should have said to him, that PNP people should call as well. The reason why they can't call or they won't call, the PNP doesn't have a good track record. The PNP have no good track record, that's why they can't call. So this, what Margaret and the PNP is doing, they're trying to win this election to put some run on the board to tell the younger generation over the years, this is what we have done, but they can't come with it. So you know what I'm saying overall? The PNP party will never see Jamaica House anymore, because in the next 5 years from now, after Andrew this last term, it is very clear that the country will be heading in the right direction, which everybody can see.
All right, Richie. Thank you as
All
always.
right, good.
Our next caller is Carl.
Carl, evening again.
Good evening, man.
Go ahead, though.
Not bad at all. He dropped down pants, comrade fan down in a Clarendon, yeah. Drop off pants, comrade. Nobody not stop you from call nationwide. If you call or jar, you call one over Longville Park, at top and one next to the station. Nobody not stop you from call. You drop your pants. That's the first thing. Then you drop in pants. Anyhow, next thing what Mr. Holness need to do is to call the referendum and see if we can move the British citizens from England to the Caribbean and see if we will contest that. To carry the Privy Council to the Caribbean, see if we will contest that the one.
I'm fairly certain Mr. Golding would I don't want to use the term contest it, but I'm sure he would put his voice in such a referendum. I don't think he'd try to avoid it.
Okay. So I was suit him. He want to go out.
But be fair though, Carl. It's one thing to have a referendum to decide the future appellate court rather than having a by-election for a seat in Parliament. Two different issues.
It's not two different issues. It's not two different issues. The referendum, if Andrew Carley referendum right now, PMP not contesting it either. PMP is afraid of referendum. Feel like all them is afraid of by-election. PMP doesn't contest by-election. Remember, say no? PJ Patterson was in power when Cheney Robinson kick out everything for them foot in a sentence. I'll pipe take up at the same night in a sentence.
But Carl, let us be realistic. And you heard what Dr. Spence indicated. Isn't it a smart move politically to not challenge in a seat where you know it's the stronghold of the other side, and knowing that a general election is coming very soon?
It kind of not give me that. From here this morning, me a plan for weekend we have it down there, and Wednesday nomination day we have it down there, and election day go yard to yard. You understand? And if I with a more active, and with a send one little message to little British citizens, say, you're there in a wrong place to try to contest the election, not Jamaica, you have to go to England.
Someone is asking in the chat, Carl. Ricardo Bacchus in the chat is saying that you're speaking about Mark Golding and his citizenship, but you have not made any comments on Matthew Samuda. And
Matthew Samuda
he will begin the process of renouncing.
Hold on, tell it personal. Matthew Samuda have denounced his British citizenship.
Well, I actually have a bit of an update on that now that you've brought it up, and this is from Mr. Samuda. He has completed his part of the renunciation process, and he is no longer the holder of a British passport.
Hold on a little while. I'm going to ask your next host. When you tell me other day, when last you check up on if Golding put in any documents yet? I noticed that you always try to defend the PMP. I noticed when
I defend no political. No. Stop right there. No, Carls, no. I'm going to stop you right there. I don't come here to defend any political party. When I come here, I come about the truth. I have no time to defend any political party.
If he put in any documents yet then?
The last time that we had, before this, that we had Dr. Campbell on, if you were listening, you would recall that I did put that question to Dr. Campbell.
And he did not give you
and
a
he
proper
indicated
answer.
that he's not sure. Correct. He said he doesn't know. Exactly. We haven't had Mr. Golding on to speak to Mr. Golding on that.
Secretary. He is the general secretary. The information was to pass to him.
So Carl, you want the information now that you finish? As I said, Matthew Samuda says he's completed his part of the renunciation process, and he is no longer the holder of a British passport. All right?
We know about that.
All right.
We know about that. Don't bring that to me. Matthew, the Prime Minister is not a fool. To be announcing a by-election, and Matthew Samuda is the person going to be the standard bearer, and he will be still having a British citizenship. Don't take my Prime Minister for an idiot. Don't do that. And I heard Dayton Campbell said this evening that there is not hardly anything that you can't believe what the Prime Minister said. The leader of the opposition, 2 financial year that the budget read, and he continue to try to lie to the Jamaica people that the government put on tax on them. And I did not hear Dayton Campbell denounce it. Two budget cycle. And also in a local government election, he went to St. Elizabeth in Black River and lied again about them grow the economy. And I don't hear nobody challenge him. Come, all him have to do.
But Carl, how if you challenge him on a political platform that he have control of? That makes sense?
But no, hold on. That's one of the very reasons I continue to ask. 13 weeks gone now from the newspaper, pen him up and ask him about his British citizenship. Then keep press conference. And those questions would have asked there for a sensible journalist.
All right, Carl, let me give you this commitment. The next time I have Mr. Golding in an interview capacity of any form, at any function, I will ask him the question directly if he has completed his renunciation process. All right?
And I can tell you tonight. All right, I can hold on tell about tomorrow, Thursday, till next week, Wednesday. So I'm to give you so long.
Well, PNP's annual conference is coming up shortly. Maybe we should be able to put that question to him there.
If him supporters, he will allow enough to ask him that question. Please remember what did happen all Hope Road to, be careful.
Carl, I am not afraid to travel anywhere in Jamaica. PNP headquarters, JLP headquarters. I am a Jamaican citizen, born and bred here. And I don't afraid to travel nowhere in my country.
I'm very proud of you that the next time you buck him up, you're going to put it to him and ask him. And ask him why whenever time people used to ask him if he is a British citizen, he used to hold up the American visa and not the two British citizen visa. Those are questions to ask him.
All right, Carl.
Thank you, Carl. I see Denzel in the chat saying, don't be offended, Sanjay. We here play rough. No, I'm not offended, but I needed to make the comment and respond to Carl. I don't want anybody to come here and brand me. I don't support that at all.
As Mark Golding not doing any interview with NNN. Don't put it that way, because Mr. Golding will answer questions when they're put to him, and he will have his press conferences and his other media briefings from time to time, and the question will be put to him. I understand that the people want an update on that matter, and the people deserve an update on that matter. It is quite fair. It will be put to him. And beyond that, Sanjay, what do you make of the current political landscape, though? Because you have some people suggesting that this whole calling up by-elections so close to general elections, which realistic can still be up to, 9, almost 10 months out still, even at this point in time, that it's a poor move. But, I mean, realistically, the Prime Minister has the discretion, and I'm not going to pretend that any other party leader in his position would not utilize the discretion, as they have had in the past.
Yeah, and we have to understand, this is not about the by-election. It's the raw politics behind it. The Prime Minister has to make some strategic moves as he enters the final lap before the general election. So we understand why it is being done. And also, the point that Nadine Spence made is critical. The PNP is also smart. Why would you contest an election, a by-election, in a JLP stronghold that you know you will lose? You don't want to cause your supporters on the ground to feel deflated. So it is a smart move by the PNP, and we understand what the JLP is doing. The Prime Minister must make some moves also. It's the reality of the politics behind it. The optics of it is what I am looking at, and I'm wondering about the Prime Minister's political capital in such a move, understanding that Southern Trelawney has been without a representative for such a long time. And I don't think the Prime Minister handled that question well when it was placed to him by the journalists. So only time will tell if he will lose any political capital by that, because he may not. Yeah, but it's a point to note.
Well, Nadine did point it out, that the Prime Minister can only play the cards he's dealt as best as he can play them. And as she said, maybe there are still issues to be sorted out in Southern Trelawney that we are not au fait of. And we will see when those by-elections are called. But the Prime Minister can only play the hand that he has been dealt. And I believe how he is doing it is partly, as Nadine has also pointed out, caused by the, I don't know if I want to call it a surprise, but the unexpected appointment of Dr. Nigel Clark within such a short period of time to the IMF has forced his hand into making certain decisions.
And also, remember, Nadine made a point too, and I've been hearing it, that Marisa Dalrymple-Philibert, she may not be out. She may very well be back, which is probably one of the reasons why we're seeing that there's no by-election in Southern Trelawney. I want to say something, though, Siobhan, just before we go to the next caller. The general election, even though it's constitutionally due September of next year, remember the Constitution provides for a grace period, so it can be as far as 15 months away. And Kenyatta Powell just reminded us about that.
Precisely. So an election could still be quite a ways off. And just as in these by-elections, I imagine the Prime Minister will not call a general election until he believes it is most advantageous to the Jamaica Labour Party, as the PNP would have done if they were in his position and have done over the years. I remember that matter when we expected Portia Simpson Miller to call an election for quite a period of time, even so much as there was an anticipation of that call to be made at their annual conference. And to the surprise of many Jamaicans, that call was not made. And then there were questions asked, and then people simply pointed out it is within her discretion to call the election when they see fit.
Of course. Look, politics is a chess game, you know. And any leader of any party, when you are the Prime Minister, you have to be strategic as to when you make certain moves and when you call that election. And also important that you don't box yourself in, right? So all of this is a chess game. And the Prime Minister, as you indicated, have to wait until the right time to call that election. But not boxing himself in.
Old lady, you're on the line.
Si, senor. Thank you.
Good evening. How are you, ma'am?
Good evening to all.
Good
if
evening.
you don't say shark over there, so the smart move can't be not to go over there. You can't challenge the shark. Wrong or right? Hello?
You're right.
Huh?
You're right.
Yes. So don't come with the word about smart. There's nothing smart. He knows he can't win. You must be able to self and think sensible as young people, you know. He can't win, so he not go over there.
But isn't it? Well, you say it's not the smart move, but it is the only sensible move to be made in this instance.
No, you're not sensible. Compellence. You're compelled not to. So you must talk things sensible, because I know everybody are idiot, you know, some young picnic out there who have sense. And we put it to you same like how me tell you about this.
So it's not the smart move, it's the only move.
And not even only, he not move. You know what I'm saying? Move. He not move, he can't move. Englishman cannot move. Oh, Kazu can't move? No. And there are many things they're talking about. Is the worst time in the history of Jamaica. Lie. In the 70s, patients get one, cocoa plum, which they call Jamaican apple. They get one of that and little corned beef for supper at hospital. People used to be at Jubilee, two a bed and baby. 2 babies and 2 mothers. Them not behave them kind of way, chat rubbish now. Just leave things alone and help the progress.
Ma'am, as you understand, though, there are the Jamaicans of your generation that has lived through and seen those times, they're passing on, the people of my generation and coming up after me, they didn't live these things, so they don't understand to make that kind of reflection and reference.
It's not that you people don't want to understand, fixated. And let me tell you something. If the old don't teach you people, no learn, no intend to learn, no intend to learn, no fixated, and that is a true fact. And remember now, if you don't know your past, you can't know your future.
You're doomed to repeat it. Isn't that how it goes?
Huh?
You don't know your past, you're doomed to repeat it. Isn't that how the whole
you
saying
can't know
goes?
your future.
Yeah, because you'd be doomed to repeating the past. So you wouldn't be able to have much of a future.
I don't repeat. You have to look back. You think so if you go over a bridge, you just go and you have to look back where you come from and say, well, I have made it. Yes. But young people, they just go along. And that is why you find, you say the old people are passing on. What do you mean by passing on? Dying out. That's all.
I was trying to be very political about that comment there, yes.
No, I'm asking you a question. You said the old people are dying out. I don't understand.
I said passing on. I was trying to avoid the term that you're using. I was just trying to be a little
passing on,
polite.
dying out.
Polite. I'm trying to be polite.
More young people are dead more than old people now. You can't sit down there.
That's true too.
More are dead. I'll live all one name. Look how long people are live, 110, 112. Oh, no, live to 50.
You have a point there, ma'am.
Do the math.
I've checked, and my family, the only person in my family thus far to have died before the age of 90 was my cousin. Well, not my cousin, my uncle. Yes, my oldest uncle. And he died at 35 due to a traffic accident.
That is why.
And my grandmother, still kicking in her 80s, my great-grandmother passed just recently over the age of 100. My great-grandfather just died before reaching 100. So people from that generation have definitely some longevity to them.
They all live longer than Uno. We live longer than Uno. Because I'm not brave, Uno reckless. And that is what is happening in every form.
I can't disagree with you, ma'am. I cannot disagree with you. There's a kind of fortitude, both moral and physical, that is lacking in my generation.
Fixation. I don't know why hear nothing. Or anything I don't have in our mind is stay there like Lot's wife. The pillar of salt, he just stayed there and not melting. Have a good one.
Have a good night. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate the call. I have to say that, Sajid, that call was quite a blessing to me. I appreciate talking to people from past generations and to understand their insights, especially a lady such as her who is quite clear in her commitments and her statements. I really appreciate those kind of discussions.
Agreed. They have wisdom, which is important.
And it's a wisdom that I think a lot of people in my generation and coming up do not take particularly seriously when they should. There's this arrogance of youth that I have never appreciated, where many believe they have nothing to learn from those that came before them. They are far better educated and they know more and have greater access to information. When I oftentimes feel that the more information people have access to, the less they utilize it. And they don't seem to understand that knowledge comes hand in hand with experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think part of the challenge too, when you look at even this generation, some of the issues that we're seeing, and I've said it before, it goes right back to the family. And many of these individuals, they grew up in broken household. Not all turn out to be, issues and cause problems within society. But I think that the process of the family and broken families sometimes contribute to some of the problems that we're seeing within our society and how some of our young people, they behave, in today's society, which is something that we really need to address, because the schools have to be playing the role that the family should be playing on top of doing what they ought to do. And it's a challenge that we're seeing, that continues within our society.
True. Well, listeners, we're still taking your calls. We're going to take a break. The numbers to call are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. So come chat with us after this break. Having a few technical issues there, Sajid.
Taboo topics. Bulletins after dark.
Riveting discussions.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between. Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings. Each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m. Boyatings After Dark. No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Boyatings After Dark.
On September 5, 2024 at 1 p.m., join at Nationwide Radio on the X platform, formerly Twitter, for an insightful X space on Coconut for a Circular Economy, building partnerships for maximum value. Hosted by Nationwide 90 FM's very own reporter, presenter, and journalist, Robian Williams. We will explore how coconut can drive sustainable business practices and reveal how collaborations are transforming the coconut industry. Don't miss the opportunity to hear from and interact with representatives from the Coconut Industry Board. So join at Nationwide Radio on the X platform for the Coconut for a Circular Economy X Space, September 5 from 1 to 1:25 p.m. Only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
Welcome back, listeners, as we close out the program. It's 7:46 and we're taking your calls. Robert, you're on the line.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening, Robert.
Yeah. And I want to say that Paul Mark will lead in the poll and can control the candidate election.
Repeat that, come again?
And so Mark will is leading in the poll.
Which poll is it? I've not seen a poll that has him leading, at least no poll recently. I know there's a poll where he's close, as in almost.
If you know you're leading a poll, you're not going to face the election. Mark will tell you, you're not leading a poll.
Oh, so you're saying that Mark Golding is...
No, but Siobhan just indicated, listener, that the most recent polls that we have seen indicated that it's close, but it didn't say that Mark Golding was leading.
That's the truth.
I'm not hearing you clearly, Carlo. You're saying that the PNP is not telling the truth?
No, that's not true. That's not true. If him are leading the poll, he will face election in St.
But even then, Carlo, even if he was leading in the poll, why would you go into a seat that you just can't win? For example, if they call a by-election in West Kingston, what would be the merit of Mr. Golding sending a candidate down there to die?
I'm in St. Anna, and he suppose that in the place and then make the and show to yes, and men at the town. You will say no. And you will say, they're not leading in no poll. They just lie them telling. Just like when Paula said, when them said the prosecution can't appeal the cases, and this is party said no, it was the deputy. And when Paula win the first case, he must say, I'm going to start it. Lie and tell. It's honest man.
Well, Blue Dot polls, as I understand it, as Mr. Hughes has said, that those should be commencing shortly. So we will have information to give you as to where those polls stand.
Let me tell you lie.
All right, caller.
Yeah, be a lie and tell. Because I'm from St. Anna.
So you're from St. Anna. You're in Marcia Smith constituency, or where in St. Anna are you?
Even the man will say, where the PNP standard era. I don't know him. The only time I see him is
which constituency though, caller?
I don't know him.
No man, I'm asking which constituency are you you're located?
I'm asking which constituency are you in? Are you in Marcia Smith's constituency where Matthew Sabodo will be here?
Yes, man.
Oh.
Okay.
And you say you've never met the standard bearer for the PNP?
Standard bearer. I don't know him. The only time I see him is for the light post for posters. I don't know him yet. Since the Samuel come here, I know him every day in walk. I see regular. And he walk the place in a jive.
I hear you, caller.
You go out the place. So they must lead the police still like that then. You don't agree with
Well,
that?
I don't think that they said that they were leading in the poll in that constituency, though, caller.
Yeah, but the last poll in the clean away say a big lead. 8% lead away one Carly. You should have contest this year. It seems that you say you're confident, so you should contest this year. And so you say the local election contest this year then.
I hear you, caller, but even if the PNP was leading, it would be infeasible for them to flip some of these seats, especially when during a by-election when the government has the ability to concentrate resources into them.
I go into the Lebanon government, and then the thing again too. When we don't like this man, this man have been say, he announce his citizenship. Then how you have announced the citizenship and you say never announce? We have announced. He say never have it.
No. He didn't. No, man, caller. To be fair to him, he did indicate that he is a holder of a UK passport and he is British citizen, and that he gained through his father. And then he made an announcement that he will move the process to renounce. What we're not sure of is if he had started the process or completed the process.
When the news breaking up, we asked him about it, he said no, he never have it. And we asked him again, he said no, I did recent when go on with any local election. And we asked him again, he said no, until the Gleaner go there and interview him in accept it. Then now he say, in the process of announce it now, we have announced something we say never have. They take us to idiot.
As I said, I don't recall. That's not my recollection of things, caller. All I know is that the Mr. Golding, when asked, said that he was the holder of a British passport, and there were calls for him to renounce said passport and said citizenship, which he has now done.
This I remember this every day. The first time when I call the phone, he no answer none. When he interview, he say never have it.
I'll have to look back on that one, caller. That's not my exact recollection, but I will have to look back on that.
I want to give someone that now.
Because I see people in YouTube saying that what you're suggesting is true. Right. So I cannot... that's not my recollection, but I'll have to look back on that one. All right. Before we wrap up, Sanjay, I understand the new rules for the ABC debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are now out. The debate will last 90 minutes with 2 commercial breaks. The 2 seated moderators, David Muir and Lindsay Davis, will be the only people asking questions. A coin flip was held virtually on September 3 to determine podium placements and order of closing arguments. Trump won the coin toss and chose to select the order of the statements. He will offer the last closing statement, and Harris selected the right podium on the screen. Candidates will be introduced by the moderators. Candidates will enter upon introduction from opposite sides of the stage. The incumbent party will be introduced first. There will be no opening statements. Closing statements will be 2 minutes per candidate. Candidates will stand behind the podiums for the duration of the debate. Props or pre-written notes are not allowed on stage. No topics or questions will be shared in advance. Candidates will be given a pen, a pad of paper, and a bottle of water. Candidates will have 2 minutes to answer questions, 2 minutes for rebuttals, and 1 extra minute for follow-ups, clarifications, or responses. Candidates' microphones will be live only for the candidate whose turn it is to speak, and muted when the time belongs to another candidate. That one is key because I believe was one of the major contentions.
Candidates because the Harris camp wanted
yes,
so the
both mics to be live.
Unmuted. Yeah.
Candidates will not be permitted to ask questions of each other. Campaign staff may not interact with candidates during commercial breaks. Moderators will seek to enforce timing agreements and ensure a civilized discussion. And there will be no live audience in the room. So those are the rules stipulated and agreed on for the next presidential debate between Harris and Trump in Philadelphia, conducted by ABC. What do you make of those rules?
I'm fine with them, except that I really wanted the live mic. The live mic is honestly, and
You
I
want
think
to
it would
facilitate
work
the crosstalk.
Oh yes, that makes it fun. But I think also it would work in favor of Harris, because having that open mic would showcase Donald Trump being unhinged, and that's the person that you want to show to the people of the country. That's the Harris camp, to try and get votes on their side. So I wanted that that live mic, that open mic.
All right.
But everything else, not surprised at all.
Well, I understand that Cedric, you're on the line, so you'll be the
Yes.
last caller for the evening. How are you, sir?
Okay. Yes, I'm all right. Now you guys are.
Good.
Oh, great. Sanjay, the lady
Yes.
came on just now and she kind of tried to give us some lessons. You're saying that the government in office has more resources throughout a by-election, right?
Yes.
That the
The
government
same
in
way-
office, that I didn't hear that.
Has more resources to throw out in a by-election.
Yes.
Good. The seat that has been contested, the government was in power at that time too. Remember that?
You are correct.
Right.
It was a stunner when Shahidi flipped that seat.
But you know what was happening? The same way now, like how the PNP said they are in the lead and they are leading and the government is with them. It's the same situation that the JP was in at that time.
Right.
The momentum.
So you think why not now?
Okay, right. So that's what I'm saying. So why not know that if they feel that they're in the ascension and the people are going with them, why not contest? Because it was done in the 80s or 90s. I remember when the China won the seat.
No, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't in the 80s. I need to check out the exact date.
I don't remember, but it was the same situation. We were we were opposition at that time.
But you know, Carl, the conventional wisdom is still that a safe seat during a by-election when you have resources to pump in. That's the conventional wisdom, you know. But Shahini was the exception that proved the rule, as they would say.
No. but they can become an exception too.
But be honest, if you were in the PNP's position, would you spend valuable resources on something that you are not certain is a done deal?
I don't know what, but I'm saying to you, it's the same position Labour Party was in that year when Shine won seat. Everybody was
It's
saying
2001. 2001 that she won that by-election.
That's when the PNP was in their heights and real and everything was going on, right? So why not? No, it is because they are not. They know what they're saying is not true. Because if they were in the ascension and everybody was going on their side, like they said is happening, they would have contested the seat. But I don't buy the. As I said, people have lived through those days. Are still here. Some of us are still around. We know what has happened. 70s, 80s, 90s. We know these things.
No, but
the political tide, though. Just the political tide, and I remember clearly in 2001 with that election, the JLP through Shahini Robinson was quietly doing work within the constituency, and I think that caught the PNP off guard when they had that by-election.
No, it was a sudden thing because somebody had died or somebody had resigned. I don't remember what those are. Right, Miss Jackson was in there long before Miss Shiny was. Long before she was there.
No, I'm not denying that, caller. But what I'm saying is, she came from the
she had the groundwork set down.
She had the groundwork set, and also recall, and a caller just pointed out to me, it was in the third term of the People's National Party when they were obviously on a decline.
It makes no difference. We are now in the second term, so it makes no difference.
Mm-hmm.
It makes no difference. If you're in that sense and they say you are, don't be afraid to contest. Because the people go with you regardless of what the time is. That's all I'm saying.
I hear you, caller.
I'm sure they would do their polling, though. I'm sure they would do their polling in the constituency and recognize that they probably can't win it.
I am not sure a poll was done. I'm not sure a poll was done when Simon was doing. I'm not sure about it. I don't remember that.
No, not then. Not then.
He's
I'm talking now with the PNP. No, not then.
Let's be clear, caller. If the People's National Party thought they would win in those seats, they would be contesting it. End of discussion. That's not even a question.
Okay. Sorry, it's a chicken out.
I'm getting an angry wrap-up from my producer and my tech up, so we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you, Dana Davey, for putting everything together this evening, our technical operator, Andrew Glenn Anderson, everyone in YouTube and over in the radio who have been a pleasure and a privilege to serve this evening. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis, wishing for you a wonderful evening.
Have a good evening.
Taboo topics. Bulletins after dark.
Riveting discussion.
Celebrity news